Good evening, everyone. The time is 6:32. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Councilwoman Jones, would you mind doing the invocation, please?
Sure. Our eternal God, our Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for how you've blessed us and kept us and watched over us. Now, Father, as we prepare to do the business of the city of Glenarden, we ask you, Father, to give us wisdom, understanding, and direction as we come together, Father, to make the decisions for this people. I ask you to continue to bless this people, bless this leadership, bless the citizens of our community, those, Father, that are sick, those that are in need, those that, whatever their situations are, Father, we know that you will meet every need because you are a great God, a great God, a great God. Thank you so much for what you've done this day. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Madam Clerk?
Yes. Councilwoman Fareed,
Here.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Here.
Councilman Harrison,
Here.
Councilman Herring,
Here.
Councilwoman Jones,
Here.
Council Vice President Ferguson,
Here.
and Council President Curtis.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Councilman Harrison, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Ferguson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Okay, by unanimous consent, the agenda has been adopted. There are two items tonight on the agenda. We'll start out first with the presentation by Mr. Ed Gibbs, Holler Law Firm on the Woodmore development. Mr. Gibbs, are you in attendance?
Yes, President Curtis, I am, and I just opened my camera and my microphone. My name is Edward Gibbs, and I am with the firm of Gibbs and Haller. Am I allowed to move forward at this point?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, let me say I'm pleased to be here this evening. I appreciate the opportunity. I want to introduce Jason Burrell with the company of Wood Partners, who is the entity behind the applicant entity in this case that I'm going to present to you this evening. Wood Partners, I just want to give, I know that you want me to finish in about 15 minutes, and I'm going to do my best to accomplish that for you, but just a little bit of background because it's important. Wood Partners is a highly respected and experienced multifamily developer throughout the United States. They are, I guess you would say, maybe headquartered in Georgia, but they have extensive operations in Maryland and in particular in Prince George's County. They have 5 projects already that they have constructed in Prince George's County. They have 3 at the Branch Avenue metro station known as Chelsea East, Chelsea West, and Tribeca at Branch Avenue. They have a project known as Evolution in the Laurel Town Center. They have a project known as the Alloy by Alta on Route 1 in College Park. And then more recently, within the last year, we obtained approval of a site plan to build a multifamily residential project at the New Carrollton Metro Station. That one has not yet commenced construction. So this project is within Woodmore Town Center at Glenarden. That 244-acre project that has been in front of you many times over the years. This particular parcel of land is called Outlot A. It's 20 acres and some change. And if you came in St. Joseph's Drive from 202 and took a left on Ruby Lockhart Boulevard, Outlot A would be the parcel directly behind St. Joseph's Church. So it's presently unimproved. Now, when the conceptual site plan for Woodmore Town Center was originally approved, it was thought that Outlot A would have a hotel and a conference center. And that really didn't work out. The multifamily, if you'll recall, was originally proposed to be on 4 opposing corners down in the heart of the town center where the clock tower is located. And 2 of the corners were going to get 54 multifamily units above ground floor retail. And the other 2 corners were going to get 180 units on each corner above ground floor retail. For over 10 years, the original developers tried to attract that type of mixed-use development, which would be residential above commercial, and it was just deemed to be too suburban a location for that type of mixed use to work here. So in 2015, you may recall that we came in and filed and processed a revision to the conceptual site plan to move up to 360 of the multifamily units out to Outlot A. The hotel and the conference center were to be moved down to Pod B, which is to the if you're standing in front of Wegmans, to the right of Wegmans and behind Costco. There's 20 plus acres out there. So that switch was made, and that change was approved by the planning board and ultimately by the district council back in 2015. So the council has approved the location of multifamily on Outlot A. And of course, there's also going to be reserved a very small commercial pad site right out on the front along the Ruby Lockhart frontage. So this is going to be 284 multifamily residential units. My client couldn't really get the 360 in because this Outlot A is constrained by a number of environmental features which you can't develop over. So we were left with 284. That was the unit count that we came up with. And Jason, if you could pull up the rendered site plan.
Sure. Yeah, I just need permission to share. It's been disabled. So if someone grants me that, I'm happy to do it.
You should be able to share now.
Okay. Okay, can everybody see the rendered site plan?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So what you see sort of in the shadows at the bottom of that drawing is St. Joseph's Church. And Ruby Lockhart Boulevard, of course, is running top to bottom in the picture on the right-hand side. On the other side of Ruby Lockhart is LA Fitness. So as you come down, there's already a curb cut that was constructed off of Ruby Lockhart. We're going to be moving that ever so slightly, but you're gonna turn in, and again, as you can see, there's no left turn in, so it's right in, right out. But you'll turn in, and there you see 2 U-shaped buildings, each 4 stories in height, served by an elevator. Obviously the units will be in each of the 2 buildings, a total of 284. The interesting part of this development is that, as you can see, within the sort of the hole in the donut or the internal area of the U shape of the building, there are courtyards in both of the buildings. And, the entire project is heavily amenitized, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. But I just want to show you that generally the internal circulation, the parking areas that you see, everything is going to be surface parked. There will be no multi-level garage parking. But as you can see along the perimeter of the site, sort of in the southeast corner, then on the south, and then up at the top, you'll see those little gray rectangular structures. And those are garage units that will be available for tenants in the multifamily buildings. Obviously, not everybody would be able to get those, but people would be able to rent those for an additional rental fee. But as you can see, there is a wealth of buffer areas around three sides of the project. We come up a little close to St. Joseph's Church, and that is really partially by choice, because if you look in the right side of the rendered site plan, you'll see a little driveway coming into the St. Joseph's Church property. St. Joseph's Church has been burdened for many years with access problems due to the success of Woodmore Town Center. And they only have one access point on St. Joseph's Drive. And so there have been promises made for years that a solution was going to be provided, and Wood Partners is actually providing that solution here. And that is a driveway that they are going to construct for St. Joseph's Church to provide a second access point into the rear of the church property, where they will be able to literally exit the property, come down, take a right on the internal access drive for the apartments, and then come out and take a right-hand turn on Ruby Lockhart. And what that really does is number one, it frees up a bottleneck out on St. Joseph's Drive, because folks are going to be able to exit through the rear here and go up to the light at Ruby Lockhart and St. Joseph's and cross directly over St. Joseph's and go down and hit Lotsford Road through the back. So it's going to provide a substantial relief to St. Joseph's Church. On site, on the exterior, as you're coming in off of Ruby Lockhart, you'll see a dark tan area. That's a rectangular shape. That is going to be a dog park. And then as you make your way through the parking lot up into the upper left-hand corner, there's an outdoor play area for children. And then I want to go over a little bit of the amenities inside the building itself. As we mentioned earlier, each building will have a courtyard. The building on the left side, as you can see, has a large swimming pool, which will be heated. All of the outdoor areas have seating areas, fire pits, areas to congregate and socialize, and just create a very warm and welcoming atmosphere for all of the residents of the community. So the children's playground will have outdoor play amenities for the children. The inside of the building will have a gym club area, 9,525 square feet, with weights, cardio equipment. It will include a wellness room. And then each building will have internal lounge areas, which will include a coffee bar, a game room, kitchens, various TVs, internet access, and furniture to relax in and gather with your friends. So it's really a great looking building. I'd like Jason to pull up the architecture of the two buildings at this point. And I want to note that we have reviewed this project with Councilwoman Ivy, and she likes it. We have also worked very extensively with staff at the Park and Planning Commission to further enhance the architecture, and staff is now in a position where they're very happy with all the architecture that we're proposing as well. So I'd just like Jason to take you through that, if you could, Jason.
Sure. Yeah. So the architecture of the building is primarily composed of fiber cement panels that will be field painted. This is a fairly typical product type, a product that you would find on large multifamily. At the request of the county, we've provided further enhancement, and it's a little hard to see in this rendering, with additional brick material. So we have two different color bricks that will be on the elevations throughout the project. And we really centered those brick elements at the primary corners and entrances to the building. So this is an example of the larger building with the front entrance to that larger building, showing the amenity area with larger storefront windows, along with the brick elements with a lighter brick shown on the left of your screen and a darker brick shown on the right of your screen. In addition to that, we were asked to provide different planes to provide some shadow lines and some interest, along with varying heights at the roof line, which we did. And you could see here that this front box is pulled out from the building to provide some depth as the amenity and first floor area is set back, along with some additional shadow lines and depth with these internal boxes, and then this top cornice line. So this is just one of the buildings, but that theme is shown throughout the project on the other building and the other facades as well. And this is a different angle of that larger building. And I can flip through and show you some of the other angles. This is the smaller building for that front facade that is facing Ruby Lockhart. And at the request of the county, we did provide a larger brick element here, so that facade does not feel like a back facade. It feels like a front facade, although when you look at the way our buildings are positioned, that is more of the back. And then throughout both of the buildings, we do have these signage opportunities, which will be backlit individual standoff letters to provide that kind of that elevated branding of the product type throughout. And I don't know if you want me to expand more than that, but I'm happy to take any questions or go into further detail.
No, I mean, I think that's a great overview of the architecture. And again, like I said, we have worked quite diligently with staff at the Park and Planning Commission and made improvements and enhancements to the architecture to create more interest. We started out with a good product, and it's just now even better. So that's our presentation. I tried to stay within the recommended time limit, and we're happy to answer any questions.
And I do want to add one thing. You did misspeak when you said 4 stories. The buildings are 5-story products.
My mistake, and I apologize. Yes, correct.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Any questions from council? I see Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes, thank you for this great presentation. I do have a question about the affordability of these apartments. What is the apartment sizes, and what are the rates, the rental rates for those apartments? And do you have any, if these are market rate apartments, do you have any that are set aside for affordable, as classified as affordable housing?
The project as it sits today is all market rate. And I don't have personal knowledge of any proposed rental rates. I would ask Jason if he knows what that might be at this point in time.
Yeah, I know Scott Zimmerly is on the call. That question is better suited to the development side of our business, which would be Scott and Zach. Scott, I don't know if you're in a position where you can unmute and answer that question.
So Zach's here. I think
I probably.
Oh, Scott, you're in.
Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead. I just got dropped, so I may be going in and out, but go ahead, Zach. I'll jump in if I need to.
Sure. Yeah. Ed kind of hit it on the, we're still several years out, so we don't know the exact rates that will be at this property. They will be market rates, and they will be similar to a lot of the other units that are in the Woodmore Town Center area at this time. So I don't know how specifics other than to say it is market rate rates. And there's a set, there are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom units here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for this presentation from the Wood Partners and from Attorney Gibb. My questions are concerning, first of all, the construction. I think you said in the beginning that this is a part, this Wood Partners is part of the Tribeca Apartments over in Camp Springs.
Yes, yes, that's
Well, hold on, a long time ago, 15 years ago. So that sounds good the question. Long time ago.
Can you mute whoever that is, Council President?
I think that is Mr. Scott, but I think there's a lot of background.
Yeah,
noise.
yeah. I think Scott Zimmerly is our Vice President of Development, and what he was saying was, I know Ed had referenced that project. That project was an early Wood Partners project in the area approximately 15 years ago. So it is referenced as a project that we built within the area, although it is, I think, probably our oldest project in the area.
Okay, I've heard from a lot of persons that live there and from homeowners association meetings that there is a lot of issues at Tribeca with the construction of, they had flooding roofs and different issues with the construction of the property. And then now they're having issues with, because once you, once you construct the property, who is the management company? Are they related with you all, or you sell this property off to somebody else to manage?
I can answer that if you guys hear me clearly. This is Scott. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I mean, that property has been sold, if not 3 times, 2 times since Wood Partners was involved. So I can't recall who owns it now. I know Carmel Partners owned it and they sold it and then it got sold again. So the answer is there's a new management company. So we don't have any purview or anything to do with them anymore. And as far as construction issues and all, I mean, these buildings have been renovated and different landlords since we had it. So it'd be very hard to answer who's responsible for a leak or whatever. I mean, that's 15 years ago, actually longer than that. I mean, you're talking 2004. So it's 2023, almost 20 years ago that we were.
Well, I'm looking at some of the reviews that say 2015. So once this project is completed by your company, then you're going to sell this off to somebody else will it be sold to somebody? Will the same transition happen with this project as what's happened with Tribeca and with Chelsea?
We don't know. It depends on what the financing wants to do. Sometimes we hold them long term. Sometimes we sell them 5 or 10 years later. We don't know. But I would tell you, and Ed Gibbs, who's on this call, we worked with for 20 years, would tell you that's not Wood Partners' reputation to have problems with buildings. And I think he already discussed we've done 6 or 7 buildings in this county. So,
well, hopefully we'll be able to keep up with the Department of Permits and for the city, for the county, to make sure, to ensure that the construction is solid. Because that's what we're looking for, solid construction. We don't want to have something that later on the city's going to have to end up trying to find somebody to reinvest to have it brought up to speed. The other question I had is another question that a lot of county residents have as far as the infrastructure around this. Is there some kind of way that we can get the county involved? Well, I guess I'm sure we'll talk to them also to get them involved about having exit or entrance off of 202 into this project.
This is Ed Gibbs. I can respond to that question. The likelihood of any access coming directly off of 202 is virtually non-existent. as you can see, this property abuts right up to where the exit ramp is, Beltway. And there's high-speed traffic coming through there. And in general, direct access to Landover Road is really restricted. So no, there wouldn't be a situation where an access driveway would be provided off of 202 into this project. And in response to your earlier question, you know, I do have a lot of familiarity with Wood Partners, and I have a lot of familiarity with Tribeca because my family home was located on the site where Tribeca is built. As a matter of fact, Wood Partners purchased several homes from my family. You know, we had sort of a family compound there on Off Road, and so I know that that project was built almost 20 years ago, not 2015. And you know, typically my experience with Wood is that they hold their properties, but you know, occasionally they are sold, and this one did get sold. So when that project was built, it was in conformance with all construction standards and was a beautiful project. I can't account for what happened after that.
Now, I was saying that the reviews that I'm looking at go back to 2015. I didn't say that it was constructed then, but like I said, once again, I'm sure the city of Glenarden will be looking for solid construction for this project.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. Mhm.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Guillaume.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Mr. Gibbs, and everyone else representing your client and Wood for this presentation. My comment is actually a little bit off of what my colleague, Councilwoman Jones, had just mentioned about 202, and you already answered that part. But so I'd like to focus still a little bit on the traffic mitigation side, and I believe it was you, Mr. Gibbs, who talked about I don't know if those were garages or those two great things in the back where you said that, of course, it's only a limited amount for the tenants. Do we know how many in particular will be there, or there are more than two? How many are reserved for the residents, for the tenants, proposed tenants?
I would defer to, I think that's a Jason Burrell question.
Okay, Mr. Burrell.
Sure. Yeah, all of the parking on site is for the project. So these garages are also for the tenants of the project, and they would be potentially rented out at a separate rate if somebody wanted garage parking.
Correct, but do we have a ratio, meaning based on the amount based on the units that are going to be constructed and the available spaces in the parking lots, do we have a ratio based on that? I'm just thinking of, well, I don't want to just say I'm just thinking of, I also know that some of the folks who are current citizens of the city, they're thinking of the influx of so many additional folks and traffic and parking and all those things that come with it. So while housing is beautiful, I'm not one to deter traffic at all. I mean, excuse me, housing at all. I just want to be able to gauge or have a picture as to how many, like what's the ratio?
Yeah, that's a fair question, and one, quite frankly, that we gave a lot of thought to. So our total parking ratio, and Zach, you probably have this information at your fingertips, is quite frankly higher than our competitors. And I can, I believe I know what it is, Scott, but Zach, but if you have that your fingertips, I don't want to misspeak.
Well, Jason, I think she's asking how many garages we have, which is like 30 something, right? I thought that
Yeah,
was
like
the
how many
question.
spaces?
Yeah,
That's all
correct.
she's asked. That's all she's
Oh,
asking.
okay. For garages, I thought we were talking total parking in addition to garages. So
No,
you know,
no, no.
you've got a bunch of surface parking here that will park at a 1.6 ratio to the units, I believe.
But how
Okay,
many
so-
garages do we have? 30, 40? That's what she's asking.
That's
How
right.
many
Yeah,
units?
the garage units are around 40. I could,
Uh-oh, I can't hear everyone right now. I can't hear anyone right now. First, I was hearing a lot of voices.
Yeah,
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's a lot of background noise from Mr. Scott's phone. So,
Well, hold on. I'm actually on mute. It's not me. I keep
Okay.
getting the blame. I'm on mute. I'm on mute.
no,
and I'm
no,
not.
I understand. I was talking about when you were off mute.
So what I can tell you is I just counted the garage spaces. There are 35 garage spaces. And then the total parking count, I could pull that off of another document, but it parks at roughly a 1.6 ratio of spaces to units. And I believe that information is also on this on a chart here. If you guys are interested in seeing that.
Okay, with all due respect, I don't have I'm the one that's difficult as far as the legislator, because I'm like, it's so small for me. So we're saying there are 30, give or take, parking spaces as far as the garage is concerned, like overall. And the other spaces that you're showing right now, these are still attached to the property, right? But they're not garages. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Burrell?
That's correct. Yeah, there are 35 garage spaces, and then all of the other spaces, as you see here, are all surface park.
Okay. And these are and those spaces are exclusively set or reserved for the tenants of the properties, correct?
Yes. All the parking that you see here, both garage and surface parking, are all reserved for the tenants of both buildings.
Okay. Okay. And one last thing, with one entry point, right? Like, is it coming off of Ruby Lockhart? So it would be land over to Ruby Lockhart. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the council?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Harry?
Yeah, I guess my issue is that, I mean, I see that the parking, the planning board has got bought into it, and Johnny Ivy's been bought into it. I don't understand why we're last to be bought into this whole planning stage. Could you tell me again, are the structures stick built?
They're primarily wood framed construction. We do have some podium, which would be concrete podium at the first floor here in this area of the building where we have our amenity space.
Okay, and you're saying you have 1.6 parking spaces per unit?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the ratio is for the parking, and I don't want to misspeak. But we have both surface park, as you can see here, and the garages. So that I don't have that information right at my fingertips.
Because we're talking 284 units, you probably have 2 cars per unit. That's well over 500. And if it's 1.6 spaces per unit, that's not going to be enough parking for them. Also, and they were, I mean, and I guess my concern is also where they're coming out at. They're coming out one in and out on Ruby Lockhart with a right turn only. I mean, even with the driveway on the side where St. Joseph's Church come out, because St. Joseph's Church be packed, they're going to back up into St. Joseph's Church when they come out. And also St. Joseph's Church cuts off a lane when they let out on the other side. So it seems like they're just going to just bottleneck at the light and within that unit, within that complex. I mean, it's just strange that you have 500 people there and probably about 500 cars coming out into one location.
I can respond to the parking. We do this every day, and the appropriate ratio is 1.3 to 1.5. And Jason noted earlier, the Evelyn and the Woodmore Grand, both competitors down the street, are around the 1.5. We're at a 1.6 and change, almost a 1.7, just because we're conservative. So we should be fine with parking. Remember, the parking depends on your mix. We have a lot of 1 bedrooms. So that's part of it. So we know the parking. We do studies all the time. That's the
so how many one? So what's the number of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms? Y'all have that?
Jason may have that. I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, I can pull that.
I have it. It's 10 studios, 150 1 bedroom, 116 2 bedroom, and 8 3 bedroom units.
10 studios,
Yep,
151, and what else?
116,
116 what? Two?
2-bedroom,
And how many? Three?
and 8.
8, 3? So that's really a unit, a complex is mostly geared toward small families. Still, I mean, like I said, I still think it's going to be an issue. It's always an issue when it comes to parking. And so I think when people can't park there, they're going to overflow. Yeah, I hope they don't overflow into the church parking lot or across the street and those other parking lots. I can see that happening real easy. I guess also I'm looking at this, and is that going to be a top lot, or is it going to be an actual playground? How big is that? Because it doesn't seem like it's a very large space for 500 people.
Councilman Herring, there is going to be playground equipment out there, and I can provide exactly what equipment that we're going to have. I'm happy to follow up and get that to you. But yes, there will be outdoor equipment there, and of course, you have the courtyard areas as well, and the swimming pool, which is going to be really the primary recreation area for the development. The only other thing I'd like to get back to, though, is the parking situation that you're talking about, Councilman Herring. This project is being developed under the MXT zone, and in the MXT zone, there is a formula that has to be followed in order to determine how many parking spaces you have to provide. And so in every detailed site plan application, a transportation engineer follows the formula that's in the zoning ordinance and prepares a report to justify how many parking spaces should be provided. And so we did that in this case, just as we have done in every other MXT case. And, the staff report will be coming out here in the next day or so. The staff has not raised any questions with us to this point with regard to the amount of parking spaces that we have, because for projects of this nature, the ratio of parking spaces that Wood Partners is providing here is really slightly in excess of what's normally provided.
I understand that. I've never had any faith in the planning board when it comes down to traffic and parking, because they've done some things where they approved sites and then had to change them over because or the traffic was worse than they actually thought. But I'm just saying if there's an emergency in that complex, nobody would get out. Actually, nobody would get out of there. I said, and they're not going to get out at Christmas time either, or game days. So I'm just looking at that. Also, with all of that open space around that development, they didn't ask y'all to put in a walking trail around that development?
No.
That open space?
No, they did not.
Y'all had considered putting that on there as an amenity to the people there?
So the site plan is a bit deceiving, and I understand exactly what you're saying. When you look at this, you see all of this green space that's part of the parking lot, part of the property. All of that is designated wetlands. So although the parcel is, I believe, like 18 acres, only half of that is usable. So we've tried to maximize out the best we could for what we're allowed to use.
Okay.
Plus, Councilman Herring, in the upper right-hand corner, there is a parcel that's going to be left as a commercial pad site right there. Yeah, there we go. That's always been planned from the very first conceptual site plan that was approved for Woodmore Town Center. There would be a commercial pad site up here. So that will be coming at some point in the future as well.
But we do have we have a boulevard that runs from the back of our site, the back building, all the way out the front. I don't know if you can show that, Jason, past the pad site that connects to the sidewalk to go into the town center. So we do have connectivity. It's not around the entire site. parts of the site drop off. You can't even do it. We have retaining walls. Jason could show us, but we do have a pretty good connectivity. It just goes through the center versus the sides. On the other side, we have a retaining wall between us and the church. So there's not really anything to have a path there. It's parking and a wall. So.
You say there's a retaining wall between the church and your development?
Right, which they want. They want to be private. So we're paying for it. We're putting
Right,
in
I understand
fence.
that. Mm.
Yep.
Okay. So you're saying they're going to put a store right in front of that development? It's for commercials, whatever it is, it's going to be a commercial site. So it's going to be a store or something right in front of that development?
Correct. Yep. That's the whole concept of Woodmore Town Center. A mixture of residential, originally it was hoped that the multifamily was going to be on the rooftop of commercial.
That would have been more practical. I don't think nobody wanted to live out in off site and then have a store right there in the middle of their, basically right in front of your complex. I mean, I remember what the original design was, and it was, for, more density in multifamily housing over top of retail. I still don't understand because they're building it everywhere else. I don't know why they couldn't get it done in this complex. This development. But I don't know. I just think that again, I just worry about people getting in and out of that complex with that one road in and one road out. That's not good, but.
Well, we have, I would only say that we have analyzed this on several occasions. The driveway meets specifications for setback from the intersection with St. Joseph's Drive. We've worked with DPI and with staff relative to the access issues here, and it's quite frankly getting in and out of here is really not been raised as a serious concern. We have been asked to look at whether or not an accel or a decel lane might be appropriate, but our traffic engineer keeps coming back saying that it doesn't meet the standards to install something like that, given the levels of service that'll be coming out. The other thing to consider is that, in the morning, people are going to be leaving this project really before things are happening in the commercial component of Woodmore Town Center. So to the extent there's going to be viewed to be an issue, it really is restricted to the afternoon.
And Ed, in an emergency, technically there is the other valve through the church parking lot. If you had to cut through that way, if you couldn't get out to Ruby, there is another way out. Technically, right?
I guess that could be used in an emergency. But
that's what I mean, in an emergency, technically. But SHA, like you said, has approved all this, and the turn lane was the big question.
Right.
So.
Right. And so, and listen, we will be obviously getting a permit from DPI. But again, our traffic engineers looked at this several times and discussed it with transportation staff, and it just, doesn't meet the criteria for creating a problem.
I'm just saying, somebody who lives in the city and who rides that regularly, I'd be backed up on a regular day without that development there. And as you say, in the afternoon, people have to come in, hit that circle, come around that circle just to get back into that complex, competing with the traffic coming from the shopping center, everybody hitting that circle. People can't drive circles now. And I can imagine what's going to happen when that happens, when all the people will be coming in the afternoon. As you said, in the evening, even in the morning time. Like you said, it might not be as bad in the morning because people may stagger out depending on the hours of work. But coming in, everybody's most likely going to come in around the same time. And you factor that in with the success of the Woodmore Town Center development, you're looking at a major issue at that circle right there by the bank, by Best Buy, that circle right there. So, and that's for, again, until somebody has to get out of there or rush to get out of there in a hurry, DPI is going to prove what they think, it should be, but DPI doesn't seem to ride by there on a regular basis to me, because they approve a lot of things. They did that with the Beltway, with those slow car, local lanes, and and that was backed up more now than ever before with the local lanes. So I mean, I don't put no faith in State Highway or any of these other people because one, they don't live in the community. Two, I don't think they even come out to look at what's going on. And if they do, they may come out on a Sunday and then give their report. Again, I can see that being a major block, a major traffic issue. You know, with that development and that number of units there. And again, I still don't think the parking is going to suffice. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. I just had a follow-up to the playground, Mr. Gibbs. Will that be gated since it's the background is it looks like the wetlands, as Mr. Burrell stated?
Yeah, my understanding it is proposed to be fenced. And Jason, could you just confirm that, please?
Correct. Yeah, it is a fenced-in playground. Yep.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Fareed? Councilwoman Fareed?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So I tend to agree with Councilman Herring and others around the traffic issue, particularly in the morning. There's a Starbucks over there that is, there's a lot of traffic for that Starbucks in the morning. So my question was, do you plan on having a commuter shuttle of some sort that is going to take people to the metro and pick them up? That might help if that's one of the amenities that you're offering.
This is Ed Gibbs. I don't believe there is a plan to have a shuttle per se just for the apartments. There is, of course, the bus, which circulates through Woodmore Town Center and would be making a stop here to pick up commuters and head down to the metro station.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jones?
I'm sorry, Mr. Gibbs, what metro station was that?
There's a metro station down past the hospital.
Oh, the one over in Largo. Oh,
Yes,
okay. Yeah, because we have like 3 metro stations, New Carrollton,
Right,
Landover.
right.
So my question again is this little area right here, if you could highlight that area, and then there's one here, what specifically are they?
Your cursor is not coming up, Councilwoman Jones.
Okay, the playground, come down, yeah, come down to your left. It's right here. The cursor's not coming up.
If you
There you go, right there,
right here.
right there. Yes, and then there's another one down on the other end. What is that?
Sure. Okay. So these are 2 different items. This is a rendered site plan, so everything is colored and rendered, but you can't specifically see exactly what it is. This right here is a maintenance shed. So because this is a surface park deal, you will have things such as snow blowers, salt in the winter, that sort of thing, weed whackers. So this is a place to store that sort of equipment. So that would be a shed. And then this is an existing sign that if you guys are familiar with the area, I'm sure you've seen it with retail signage for Woodmore Town Center. So it already exists on site and it will remain.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yes, one other question, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Herring, Councilman Herring?
Is that just out of curiosity? So, where are your trash dumpsters going to be located on this site? Do you have a location that you're going to have them?
Yeah, so this building will have internal trash. It will not have external dumpsters. I know a lot of surface park deals, you're used to having external dumpsters that are in dumpster, I guess, enclosures. But these all trash will be internal to the buildings. And roughly the location of the trash rooms are here and here within the buildings.
So will residents have trash chutes or?
Yes.
The trash chutes.
Yes, so these are the locations of the trash rooms. The trash chutes would drop down to dumpsters and compactors within the trash room. And then we would have private trash pickup to pick up the rollout dumpsters and remove them from the property, which is fairly typical for our podium or structured park deals on more urban locations. So this is a bit of a hybrid.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
One other question was, will the additional roadway provided for St. Joseph have a security gate, or will it also serve as additional ingress egress for the Alta community?
It is not intended to be used by the residents of the multifamily building. It is being constructed exclusively to benefit St. Joseph's Church.
So with this drawing here,
Yeah, is this Council President Curtis asking this question, sir?
yes, I'm asking it for citizen in the chat.
Oh, okay, got you covered. Yeah. So whether it's going to be gated, I don't know the answer to that. Does Jason or Scott have an answer for that one?
Scott, I'll let you speak to that. You've been in direct contact with the church.
Well, I have the background noise again. I don't know if it's gated or not, to be honest with you. I'm not sure.
I would suspect that there will be a gate there, and that during periods of time when the church is not having services or events, that it will be gated. That would be my suspicion. But I'll be happy.
That's my guess as well.
I'll be happy to get the answer to that question.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
All right, yeah, yes, Councilman Herring.
Yeah, so can't that be put in the CSP that it will be gated instead of guessing on it? I mean, if it's going to be gated or it's not. I mean, that can be included in the CSP on submission, right?
You know, we certainly don't have a problem with that. Some background, Mr. Herring. St. Joseph's has been asking for this relief for years. You know, it just hasn't happened. And this, you know, the Wood Partners has been happy to provide this and to actually build it for St. Joseph's Church. You know, I think my client has pretty much viewed this as a situation where they want to do what St. Joseph's wants. And so I'll be happy to ask St. Joseph's. I don't know that my client would be saying, I want to put a gate up there when we're doing this to fulfill a commitment that was made to St. Joseph's a long time ago. But I'll be happy to check with them and, you know.
I guess when I say gate, I'm talking about one of the basic ones where they can lock it if they want to, or they can leave it open. At least they have the option to leave it open if they want to, or they can lock it if they want to, if they feel the traffic is, you know, using their parking lot for parking or whatever, or going through it. I'm not talking about a straight up gate. I'm just talking about a barricade, basically, that they can lock and open whenever they feel like it.
I get it. And I think, quite frankly, it's a good idea. And I will find out from them whether that's in their plan, and will actually recommend that they do it. But I just don't have the answer tonight. But I'd be shocked if they're not going to have a gate on that.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Jones.
Yes, one more. So yeah, if they don't have a gate on it, I can see predators coming into the complex and doing whatever and coming out. But once again, Mr. Gibb or the other person, Mr. Jason, can you show me where the retaining wall is again around the property? Is that the white line?
Well, yeah, there are multiple retaining walls.
No, I mean for the church church requested.
Absolutely, yeah. So the retaining wall along the church property roughly runs along this distance. Actually, it stops right there. this distance right here. And it's not necessarily a request from the church. It's a result of the topography of the site and the topography of the church site. So in order to create a level platform for parking, a retaining wall is constructed. The retaining wall is back onto our property to allow a buffer of green against the church property. And that was something that we've discussed with them.
So that's going to be brick and wrought iron or just stone?
Yeah, it would be a modular block retaining wall, so it would be more closely aligned with brick than the other product types that you've laid out.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm.
I just wanted to see some protection for, that's going to be protection for the church also.
Oh,
And
understood.
for
Yeah.
And for the citizens in the complex.
Yes, there will also be a fence on top of that. I don't think that we've stated that, but there will be a
Okay.
board-on-board wood fence that does not have visibility through it on top of that retaining wall.
A wood fence?
Yes.
Wood seems to deter, I mean, kind of gets after it grays from the elements. It kind of takes away from to me, the beauty of something, but.
Yeah, there certainly is a lot of debate on that. Yeah, it would be a cedar fence. And over time, it does patina and get gray. Some people, including myself, really do like that. A PVC fence is the other alternative, but that wasn't something that I believe that the church was interested in and worked with the county as well.
So the wrought iron wouldn't work at all. I'm understanding that may be more expensive, but
Yeah, the wrought iron doesn't provide the opacity that a wood board-on-board fence provides to screen to screen us from the church.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gibbs, Mr. Burrell, Mr. Scott, thank you for taking the time to make this presentation to the council. It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you for taking our questions. And I believe we'll be looking forward to some of the follow-up answers, Mr. Gibbs, that you said that you'll come back with.
Yes, Council President Curtis, we will indeed, and certainly will look forward to working with Glenarden as we move forward. Obviously, we'll be submitting copies of the plans to the city as we're going through the permit process. So, we'll be engaging all the way through, and we will get the answers back on the questions that were asked that we didn't have an answer to.
All right.
And we appreciate
Mr. President.
Thank you for scheduling us to make this presentation.
Thank you. 1 second. Mr. Councilman Herring, did you say something?
Yes. Yeah, could we get this, can we get the conceptual site plan?
I sent it to you. Actually, I sent it 3 times.
Did the clerk get it? I'm asking the clerk, did she get it? Because I haven't.
Madam Clerk?
No, I don't have it.
I'll be happy to send it again, but yes.
Yes, I would like to get a copy of that.
Absolutely.
And the rest of the council too.
Would you like me to send it to the council clerk?
Council clerk, yes.
Now, what you're looking at right here, this rendered plan, you don't have this because this has just been prepared. But,
Yeah,
but
we would like that
what
too.
I have sent, honestly, 3 times electronically, is the site plan, the landscape plan, and the elevations for the project. But we can send this as well, and we'll send the whole package again as well tomorrow. Be happy to do it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Council Clerk, do you have Mr. Gibbs' email? Or Mr. Gibbs, do you have Council Clerk's email?
I have his email, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll reach out to you, Mr. Gibbs, and if you can send it to our Council Clerk, then
Absolutely. Happy to do it tomorrow and look forward to it. Once again, thank everyone for your attention and thanks for the questions. They were all great.
All right. Well, you guys have a great evening.
Thank you. You all do the same. Take care now.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
All right. Next on the agenda It's the long awaited, sorry. Discussion of the Gold Room rules, regulations, fees, Gold Room, for the Gold Room and Community Center of Woodmore. Councilwoman Jones, you want to lead this effort?
Sure.
Okay.
My perception of this is that we would, you've all received the documents pertaining to the Gold Room and the resolution pertaining to the Gold Room. I was hoping that if we've went through it and highlighted the things that you want to address, that we need to address as a council, that we would bring those things up to the table and then we could discuss them and determine whether we want them or not. Please understand, this is not anything personal. It's just putting guidelines in place. And we need to, as a council, just sit down and say, okay, this is what we need to do, or this is what we don't need to do. Okay, so I guess we could start, I guess the biggest controversy would be the rates that have to be put in place. What it is we're going to charge for. If we look at the fee schedule that's been proposed, is this where we want to go as a council?
In speaking with City Manager Habita,
okay,
and considering the hiring of a Gold Room coordinator, I would much rather rely on their expertise. So if is Ms. Habita on the phone? I don't see her.
She's here.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. I remember discussing this with you briefly and wanted to know your thoughts on the rates.
I can give you some feedback on what I see from just the time I've been here in terms of the number of contracts and the type of events and that kind of thing. That our repast fees are reasonable, and in terms of larger events for let's see, major birthday parties, that kind of thing. Most of the fees that I see coming through the door on a regular basis, on a daily basis, actually, are for repasts. And there are some events that are birthday parties and that kind of thing, both here at the Gold Room and at the community center. As to those fees, I don't have, it's for me, it's hard to tell whether or not we are too low. We are attracting a number of contracts on various kinds, and for both the community center and the Gold Room that are not repasts, but we are booking repasts weekly, 2, 3, 4 times a week. And that seems to be because, from what I've been told, a lot of the churches, because of COVID, still have not opened their doors back to having, in their community halls, having repasts at the church. So we are the prime, we are booking as the prime spot for repasts. That has been consistent. In terms of the others, I don't have a sense of that. We did have one gentleman who's a minister who has reserved a whole week in August, and he's paying the daily rate of $1,500 for reserving it, and it ended up being a total of about over $10,000 for, actually it's 2 weekends in the week, which was kind of unusual for us to have somebody walk in and do that, but we did have that. As to the other, I can't I can't offer an opinion as to whether we're too low or not. We are filling up the space. There are during the week repasts, and on the weekends, it's the birthday parties and other things that are coming up for wedding receptions, that kind of thing. But I couldn't address as to whether or not we're too low. I don't have enough time here to see that.
Okay, there was a comparison sheet included that gave a comparison between 4 different venues. The PG Ballroom, which is over in Landover, the Newton White Mansion, the Kentlands in Gaithersburg, and one other venue.
What page is that on that you can?
That was a separate sheet, the 2023 revitalize. It was part of the revitalization plan, but I included it.
Yeah.
And then with the churches, from what I understand, that the churches are no longer going to do too many repasses anymore because of the liability with the food and stuff, that they only want to do their own events. And that's why even we get a lot of referrals from First Baptist of Glenarden to come to the Gold Room, because they don't want to do that type of event, any that type of event in their venues any longer, because of the liability associated with, they want, just like any other venues require them to have a caterer license. They don't, of course, the churches will not serve alcohol. And some people, the celebration of life has turned into just that, a celebration of life. They want music. Some people want alcohol. We've even had guests come to the city hall, and they assumed that whatever was in the cup, it was a repast, but nobody knew what was in the cup. So, it could have been alcohol, could not have been alcohol, but some people want to serve alcohol at these events. So that's why the churches are no longer, they're sending them to places like to the city of the Gold Room to do these events, because they don't want the liability. So, but like I said, the comparison sheet was done last year also as to what those venues charge in comparison to what we charge. So you're saying that the fee that we're charging for persons to use the Woodmore Town Center Community Center room is not, that's just what it is, a community center room, but they were charging $50 to maintain and to bring in, to have somebody to keep the upkeep up. That was what the $50 was for, to do the cleanup and to pay for the cleanup and so forth. So you think that fee is sufficient?
I have not had enough experience with the community center to really know. I've been watching the Gold Room being booked up for repast, and this one unusual that's coming in August for a whole, well, more than a week, 2 weekends and the week. But the majority of the bookings that are coming into the Gold Room on a weekly basis have been repasts.
And you feel comfortable with the price that's being charged?
I don't know if it's, I mean, I think folks who are in a situation where they're coming off of a funeral and having to plan, in terms of the cost of everything, I don't know if it's reasonable or a stretch. I mean, it seems to me it's fairly reasonable.
No, I'm saying as far as the city, the business end of it for the city, as far as our maintenance, the people that we have to hire, the tablecloths that we have to provide, the carpet cleaning and all of those things from that aspect, not necessarily from the aspect of, because some places charge between $1,500 and $3,000 for a repass, whereas our cost is a whole lot more reasonable. But still, even at a reasonable cost, we have to take in consideration the liabilities that we incur to, for, like I said, employees, for supplies, for police protection and those types of things.
Well, I don't have an analysis in terms of the what we're spending in terms of, I mean, most of the what's happening now is being handled by internal staff in terms of staying by for until folks leave at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. And of course, we're asking staff on weekends to be present until we get a gold room coordinator in who can then hire the crew. We do have 2 people who we have deployed from a temporary firm that specializes in maintenance folks, and they are doing a superb job. The 2 that we have gotten from that company, and I can't remember the name; it escapes me right now. But they have been doing very well, working very hard on setup and tear down, particularly on weekends. But most of the other times, it's internal staff from Public Works and internal staff in terms of either Jordan or Imani or Michelle, and sometimes when Robin and I are here late, then we're closing up, like we did last Friday. We got out of here around 8 o'clock, and we closed down all the doors and checked every space, make sure the lights were off, and the bathrooms and the gold room itself. Had a little trouble with the front door on Friday evening, the door where you go out down the steps. So that was something we got help from Courtney Campbell on. But pretty much internally it's being handled. And I think that needs to change because some of the staff are getting kind of worn out, and I have briefed them on where we're headed on a continuing basis in terms of the interview process that we started and that kind of thing to, give them some reassurance that they're not going to have to do this forever.
Thank you, Ms. Hamada. I'm sorry, Ms. Jones, are you finished? Councilman Jones?
I'm also looking at the resolution, and I would like other council persons to weigh in on this also, because
yeah, I saw Councilman Young's hand.
Yeah, and then if we look at the resolution, Ms. Hamada, if you had an opportunity to look at that on the second page of the resolution, it talks about, a new catering contract with liability waivers are hereby incorporated, because that's what was in this packet. Also, a new gratis application was also incorporated in this. A new rental agreement was incorporated in these documents, and the name of the department, they wanted to change that to the Special Events Department. I
think it was very helpful to see a number of those items in terms of the changes that were made on the gratis application and the new rental agreement, as well as the name of the change of the name of the department, and events manager, I think, is appropriate as well. So I think it fits. The question I think remains is the fee schedules, and that's not something that I have enough experience with to know where we are and where we sit in the area in terms of our competitiveness, except that we are getting an awful lot of repass coming to us. Probably the market, the information comparing the PG Ballroom, Newton White House Mansion, the Kentlands Mansion, would be more instructive in terms of getting that updated probably to 2023. But other than that, I don't have anything to recommend on the fees. I think what's on point here is the so helpful. I think, it was very relieving to see the gratis application giving some direction to us. Rental agreement as well, and changing the name of the department, I think is a good one, and the events manager, because it's not just the Gold Room, it's also the community center that we're managing.
Thank you, Ms. Sabata. Councilwoman Guillaume? Habita. My apologies.
You're getting it.
Habita.
Habita. Thank you, Council President. I wanted to just touch on a few things. So wanted to hope, well, not sure what time is allotted to us this evening, but if there is going to be an opportunity for us to go through the revised rules and regulations, if that's going to be something that's going to be discussed, I suggest putting that out there. If not, then I'll just wait to offer that when we can. But in regards to the fees and, in regards to the fees, that's the topic of conversation that we just brought up right now. I will say that I don't know if it was you, Council President, or if it was you, Ms. Habita, in responding to Councilwoman Jones, that right now we don't have someone who's an expert here. So to have Ms. Habita be the one to respond would probably be difficult until we get someone here to probably give us like some real expert direction. I also wanted to bring up that it was good that we did a comparison with the other venues that are around here, but we need to be clear as to what we're doing, because if we're looking at capacity, then yes, you know, we need to really look at what we're charging folks and what others are charging folks. But if we're looking at the venues as a whole and what they offer, like Newton White Mansion offers a lot, and the upkeep is very different. And if you even look at the Gold Room as it is currently, we have chairs that are outdated. You know, there's a lot of things that need to be updated for it to compare with the other venues that we are comparing them with. So of course, it makes sense that Newton White Mansion is charging what they're charging because they have Chevalier chairs and they, you know, and you can rent this and there's a section for that. And while the Gold Room does not have all of those things yet. So I feel that if we were to increase our rates right now without investing in the infrastructure of the Gold Room, we would be doing a disservice. We probably lose folks because they'll say, I can go to Newton White Mansion or PG Ballroom and get all of these things that you guys aren't currently offering. So there's that aspect. And the other aspect is the marketability. I feel like the Gold Room is marketable. I feel like that's one of the things that, however, we have not, and I'm saying the collective we, not we council, we administration, I'm just saying we collectively, we have not done a great job at leveraging the beauty and potential of the Gold Room. People are still, unless you have been in the city or the surrounding community for a long time, you know about I've heard people talk about the Gold Room and say they used to come to cabarets or things of that nature at the Gold Room. But in more recent times, it's usually just the same, you know, folks within the community that are utilizing the Gold Room or are telling others about the Gold Room. So if we can look at a marketing strategy as well for the Gold Room, I feel like that would answer a lot of our issues. So that's what I wanted to touch on. And like I said, I did, you know, go through the whole table of contents and have some stuff that I would probably want to mention if there's time. If not, then we could just do it another time. Thank you.
And I mean, so, you know, you can talk on the rules and guidelines, anything. So the point of this meeting was for every council member to be able to come with their questions on anything that was in the packet concerning the Gold Room, and then we can address those. So the floor is open if anyone wants to speak on the rules, any questions about the rules, any opposition to things that are in here. Councilman Herring, I see you're unmuted.
Yes, I do have, I went through and highlighted a number of things. Me personally, I think that you should have two separate sets of rules, one for the Gold Run and one for the community center. I don't think it should be commingled into one document. That they need to be separated because they're two different entities. I don't want them to get, because the issues we're running into with the developers over there at Woodmore is they keep on saying we're renting this room, we're renting this room, and we're renting it, and we're not renting it. But going through the rules, I was looking at like on page 3, item number 3 talks about gratis. I'm not understanding why we're granting gratis to nonprofit organizations outside the city of Glenarden. I don't think that's, I mean, the government has lost so much money that we don't need to be giving away no extra free things to, I don't think that should be, I mean, organizations should not be able to come here if they're outside the city of Glenarden and say, hey, I'm a nonprofit organization. I want to get the government for free. I mean, I can see if it's something in particular, let's say the Democratic Central Committee want to come and have a hearing or something, okay, we can look at it that way. But just to open it up to any nonprofit to come into the city and get the government for free, that's not, I mean, we're losing money every time we do that. We already giving away, just looking at these rates alone, we're giving away almost $10,000 every year just with the 4 that we got that's included in this in these rules and regulations. So I think that needs to be that should not be in there. I mean, if it's a nonprofit inside the city of Glenarden, okay, but outside, I don't think we should give them gratis. And if we do, it should be on a case-by-case basis, not just anybody can come and be a 501c3, and then we got to go through the whole process of, because we'll be getting requests all the time, and we'll be having to address those every time as a council, when I don't feel we need to be doing that. We need to be, handling the city, the business of the city, not the business of giving free events to outside organizations. Again, that's the goal. It generates funds for the citizens in Glenarden, and we're giving away funds left and right. So that's one thing I would like to see by actually taking out of these rules.
Okay.
I agree.
Council,
Councilwoman Gill.
I just wanted to say, just so we can maybe go by quickly, because I wanted to say something in response to what Councilman Herring was saying, like what Councilwoman Jones just did. Like, I agree, but I don't want to mess up the procedure of having to ask you to keep raising my hand. But I did literally highlight the same thing as Councilman Herring, and I think I just heard Councilwoman Jones also agree on. I wanted to know, would it be helpful if we just went quickly page by page? So whoever had comments for each, they can just say yes, no, or whatever, because what would happen, I feel like after Councilman Herring, for example, finished saying his stuff, somebody will probably wait for you to call them. Then they'll say, well, did you see page 2? Then we go back to page 2. And then somebody said, well, did you see page 8? Then I'm like, well, wait, did you get to page 5? So not sure if there's a process to this. I'm just trying to make sure that we get through this and not stay late like last night.
Okay, that is fine. So currently, I know Mr. Herring was on page 3. Ms. Herring, if you don't mind, I'll just go back up to page 2 to see if anyone had any comments on page 2, and we'll just go down through the 40. Is that? I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Herring. Is that okay with you?
No, that's fine. That's fine for me, because the only thing on me, just so we can get it out the way, the only thing on page 2 that I was speaking of earlier was that I think we need to separate these rules from community center and banquet hall. Just have 2 separate documents, not one intermingled.
All right, Councilwoman Guillaume.
So for me, I had a quick question for page 2. Under inquiries, well, administrative hours inquiries, is that 240 number? Is that a current number? Just wanted to make sure. That is?
No, that's the same question I was going to ask too.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that was the Go Room coordinator's telephone number that they had for the city, the previous one, or not. So that would be something that I would have to ask. We would have to ask Ms. Hobbita if that's still their telephone number.
The answer is I don't know. I'd have to find out.
I think their number was a 676 number, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, this one it's saying booking line at 539-7121. So we would want to definitely make sure that we're not giving someone's personal number or a non-city number.
Yeah.
Out. I'll be quiet right now. That was my thing for page number 2. I don't know if
All right.
anybody could pass, and then we could keep.
Mr. President, I do have one other thing on page number 2 in that same paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So at the I'm sorry, not the paragraph under site tours and appointments. Why is it saying that appointments are limited to 30 minutes? I think that when you give customer service, I'm not saying you got to give them a whole 4 hours, but a walkthrough in 30 minutes and discussion about what you want in 30 minutes. I think that's cutting it a little close. I mean, you're just going to talk to people, cut them off, and then like, okay, here's a room, get on out, send me your floor plan. You know, I think if we're going to do it, and we're going to need to do it right and be more customer oriented. I mean, a place where I work, you know, we rent space and we have an event coordinator, and she spends, you know, especially when you're dealing with brides, you know, they want to walk it, they want to talk to you about it, they want to feel comfortable that that's the venue they want to rent. They feel they're being rushed out the door, they probably won't want to rent. In 30 minutes is no time at all, really, when you come up there to walk the room and just discuss what you're going to do. So I think that needs to be changed also.
I would agree that line needs to come out also. Because like Councilman Herring is saying, you never know how long you're going to end up with a customer. You're not going to spend the whole day. Of course, you know how the go-room coordinator themselves should know how to negotiate with a person to move them forward and getting all their questions answered. It may take 45 minutes and not 30 minutes, but just to be able that the co-room coordinator can feel at ease with the person, and the person can feel at ease, you know, that they're being heard, then it shouldn't be a set limited to a certain amount of time.
Well, I would probably, let me push back a little bit on the both of you. I do think that 30 minutes is, I think 30 minutes is not enough. So I agree with what you both are saying, but I would probably say no more than an hour, or limited to no more than an hour. So that way, 60 minutes is enough. If somebody's walking a venue, the gold room is the gold room. The bathrooms are right there, the kitchen's right there, and then you're discussing site and setup. 60 minutes, I can see, but 30 minutes, you know, that's asthmatic.
Given that, do we have to put this in here? Can we leave it up to the coordinator to manage that and get people in and out in the timely manner? Okay.
That's what I feel, that they should be able to manage their time.
Okay. Anything else?
Can you scroll back up to the other? Oh no, that was on page 3. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Council President,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Council Clerk.
if I may, I'm being told that number that's referenced was the former coordinator's cell number.
Oh, geez. All right. Yeah, we'll have to change that to the
City numbers.
the city number.
I mean, I'm sorry, let me clarify that. That was her work cell. That was the city cell number, but I'm not certain who has it now or if it's in use.
Okay. Thank you, Council Clerk. All good for page 2. Now we're on page 3. I think what was already highlighted was.
Okay, so gratis, the definition is fine, but as far as outside the city, no.
Okay. Anything else on page 3? All right, hearing none, we'll go to page 4. Comments or notes from council members on page 4?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Oh, go ahead, Councilman Herring. I was going to
Councilman
say.
Herring.
Okay, I was looking at this and I was looking at how they're doing block times. A minimum of 7 hours and maximum of 8 hours is required as a base rate for this time frame. Now, when I looked at the rate switch, and that's why we really need to discuss the rates. When I look at the rates that we're charging for that 7-hour block, That is less than what we're charging now at the standard rate. I think we're $2,000 for 4 hours, which is $500 an hour. That rate is like, I think it's like $275 or something like that. So that's why I'm thinking we need to look at that. Also, I think a 7-hour block of time for an event, we need to look at that. You know, some people may not need 7 hours. You know, they may just want to do the 4 hours, or they want to do, 3 hours. I mean, well, the minimum is 4 hours. I can see a minimum of 4, but you got to do a maximum of 8, and you got to book a block of 7. So what we were doing before was basically you book a block of 4, then you got to pay for additional hours on either end to cover that, which actually brought us in more revenue than what this would do. So, I mean, again, I think we need to look at that and look at the rates and how that's factored in. And I think that's with all the blocks that they have in the fee schedule. Those rates are way less than what we're charging now based on the 7-hour blocks in the time frames. So I think that really needs to be looked at. And also on the holidays, New Year's Eve, why are we not? New Year's Eve used to be a long time ago one of the most popular days to rent a room. People like to have New Year's Eve parties, and we always would charge what they call it, a higher rate
Premium.
for that. Yeah, premium rate. Yeah, premium rate on that day. You know, so I don't understand why in here it has it as, it's not a rentable day. And maybe we just can't get staff to staff it, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
And that's about it for me. I mean, I do have an item on number 3, where they talk about buyouts, but that's the same thing. That the buyout is 10 hours and that's $5,000. And that's more in line with the rates we're charging now, $500 an hour. So, I mean, if somebody want to buy 10 hours. But again, but also with these rates, that's another thing also with these rates, with the block rates, we can only really do one event that day for 7 hours because it's going to run. I mean, depending on how they, when they start it, it's really only one event a day. Right now, we can do on average 2 events a day. You can do a wedding in the morning and in the afternoon, and then do another event at night on a Saturday, which will bring you in, almost double what these rates would bring you in. So, I mean, I think all that needs to be looked at.
So Councilman Herring, did you want to take, as far as the days that they're not open, take out the New Year's Eve day?
Yeah, I think that should be an option if somebody wants to use it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
at a
agree.
premium rate.
What about the Friday after Thanksgiving?
I don't think nobody really does anything the Friday after Thanksgiving, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, I've never seen, most people be out of town or traveling, so that's probably why they leave. And then the staff should be able to enjoy their Friday after Thanksgiving.
Well, that's true too. And it could be if somebody came up with something and they could talk to the city, came to the city manager and presented her with an idea of wanting to use it, or the go room coordinator, who it's going to be, then that would also be a premium rate.
That should be a premium rate. It definitely should be a premium rate if we're not even staffing it, but.
Okay, because I can see I can see where council president put in there set premium rate for holidays. So that would take care of that.
So are we talking about all holidays or certain holidays?
New Year's Eve, if somebody wanted a Friday after Thanksgiving, because like we were saying, we don't know whether we'll be able to, we have to pay premium for staff to come in because that's a holiday. So I would think, of course, they would have to pay a premium rate because we have to pay premium for any staff that was utilized. Because it's a holiday.
All right. Any other comments for page 4? Okay. I think I missed one thing.
All right, is the council good with the residential status, number D at the bottom of page 4?
Mhm.
So what if they don't have a driver's license or a Maryland ID? Or any other form of, what do we use for to verify election day? I know they use ID and something else. I don't know. I was just thinking if they don't, well, I guess most people do have an ID of some
Yeah.
sort, some type of picture
they
ID.
do.
Most of them do
Yeah.
have some type.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
All right. Moving on to page 5. Any comments for page 5?
For section B, client portal,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything for, well, I know this is electronic. Is there a form for written documentation? Because there are some folks who are still not into doing things via email.
The prior Go Room coordinator, she did both.
Right.
She was able, so if whoever comes in new, if they're able to set up an electronic client portal, then we can do that. But she did both. She did the electronic and did the the paper hard copies also.
Okay, because right here it doesn't reference, and I have done several events at the Gold Room, and I have hard copies, obviously, but I don't know if there's if it needs to be stated in here at all. So that's what I just saw.
Okay.
Well, and just to add, comment on that, I think further on in these Go Room rules and regulations, it does say that you will fill out a hard copy of everything, sign off on it, and you'll get a copy of it. Because you got to initial everything. And I think she just uploaded it into a portal.
Uploads it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can access it.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I know. I do have another comment on page 5. Security deposit for Glenarden community. For the Glenarden Community Center. Right now, we don't ask for security deposit. And I think the security deposit is like, that's in here is like $200, and the rent is $50. And I think that we need to look at the fees, because again, I'm thinking, Ms. Howard, basically, how much, what is the rate for Gold Room crew member? Do you know?
Hourly rate?
Offhand? Yeah, the hourly rate. I can't remember
It's between 16 and 17 an hour.
Okay.
That's if we're paying, if we're doing it on contract, it'll be a little higher.
Right.
You had commented about the security deposit?
Yeah.
We currently have a security deposit for the Gold Room. I think it's $500. Refundable, assuming there's no damage.
For the community room.
Oh, for the community room. Okay, I don't know.
There's
I don't
none.
know the
There's
answer
none.
to that.
Yeah, there is none for a community room. It's just a $50 pay. So on average, if we're charging $50 now, and the average person's going to be over there like 4 hours, that's $68. So we're actually losing money on that. We're not even covering the cleaning. So that rate really needs to go up. I can see, and I think if we're going to do a security deposit, $200 is kind of high. But again, we need to look at the rates and look at some comparables. But I do believe that $50 need to go up, at least to cover the person that's going to be there. Because right now it's like $68 per event.
To what amount?
$100 would be good.
That's what I was thinking, $100 per event.
Mm-hmm.
For the use of that room. And then we can factor in, the time they be there, as well as, soap and other incidentals that they use for the event.
So we're saying $100 for the community center.
Yeah.
But that's not a security deposit. That's
It's just
that's going to be
$100,
the flat rate for the use of the room, And it's really not a fee, as they say. It is just to cover the maintenance and personnel.
Chief, I see your hand. We can't hear you, but I still see your hand. Now I see a halo.
Okay.
See, that's what we're talking about with seniors that don't know how to use technology.
I'm getting ready to say, come on, chief, they already don't want, we're already trying to get off the meeting, and you make it prolong. Now you got a big halo on.
You muted, chief.
Can you hear me
There you
now?
go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, in reference to the community center, we've been having problems like with the cleanup and stuff, you know, spilling and stuff like that. So we do need a security deposit with these guys. Even if we go up to $100, we do need a security deposit because what we finding over there is like they make spills on the carpet and stuff like that when the guys go to clean up. And so they got to go and clean it, you know. So I think it, just like we do the gold room, we probably need to have a security deposit and let these folks know if they do something wrong, we can take that money from them. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Chief.
All right.
All right, we good on chapter 5. Good on page 5.
Can you give us an idea about a security deposit for the community center?
I was getting ready to say.
I mean, it's refundable. So right now it's $200, I think. I don't think that's unreasonable, I guess.
I think that's fine.
200 is okay. We'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
I think that, yeah, they'll get it back. So it's like, you know,
So they'll have to pay $300, $200 for the security deposit, then $100 for the flat rate. Can we just do the $200 security deposit, and then when the event's over and everything's done and over with, just give them $100 back?
I think you run into issues when you do stuff like that, because then you got to sit there and deduct and, you know, okay, this is your security deposit, this is your rental fee, you're combining the two. I think you need to spell out exactly what they're paying for.
Okay, I
That
understand
way
that.
when they fund it.
All right. Moving on, any comments on page 6?
Yes, forms of payment at the bottom, C, section C.
Mm-hmm.
So an electronic check, what is the, I'm just asking, just because I was gonna go into the other comments, but what is an electronic check? Like, what's the difference between that and a personal or business check? I know what a certified check is. I see what cashier, and I know what money order, and I know what debit credit. What's an electronic check? Because it's saying electronic check only.
I don't know.
It's like, I guess it's either ACH, automated clearinghouse, because you can have your bank transfer money over to, you know, almost like a Zelle. You do it electronically.
Okay, because then it says a $35 will be assessed in the event of return electronic checks, right? So I know with those other things, like Zelle won't send money unless you have it in your account. You know what I mean? So that's what,
Right.
so I'm trying. So where it says under C bullet 1 or I, a $35 fee will be assessed in the event of a returned electronic checks.
See,
I don't
and
think
electronic checks normally don't get returned because you
Exactly.
initiate them from the bank.
It's automatically taken.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why, and so I would cross that out, but even now when I go to Roman numeral 2, well, the 2 I's, for all other payments such as money order, certified check, and cashier's check, a $35 fee will also be assessed for checks from the city of Glenarden, not cashed. So I would, if I'm making the payment, then what is the city of Glenarden giving me?
They're saying, basically what that's saying is that if you hold that check for 90 days, they're gonna charge you $35 if they gotta reissue it. Because I think the checks may say void after 90 days.
Right, and you see,
To
so.
put a stop payment.
Yes, so then we need to make it clear, because if we're looking at forms of payment, right, and what it says right next to form of payment, it's saying what we accept, right? The City of Glenarden Special Events Department accepts this, right? So it's not talking about if the city issues you a check, you know, for, what is it, like after security
Refunds for
deposit?
deposit.
Right, like I think it needs to be stated clearly in there. Like it says, for all other payments such as money order, certified check, and cashier's check, a $35 fee will also be assessed for checks from the City of Glenarden. What? The security deposit? What is it? Not cash.
I
but
think,
security.
I think is if you don't cash your security deposit
Yes, so
in
then
90 days,
Mhm.
they're gonna void it and then they're gonna reissue it and take $35 off of it. But
Yeah.
but the problem, but I think that the line that just was highlighted, I think that's just actually said $35 fee will be assessed in the event of any return checks. That's
But none of
normally when they charge. Then you take out the electronic, not electronic checks, but return checks.
Well, if you think about it, no checks can be returned because it's a certified check, it's a cashier's check, and they're saying no personal or business checks will be accepted.
Right,
So
right.
there's,
Yeah, so yeah, that need to come out, yeah.
so there's none of that there.
All right.
Let me see.
Are we ready to move on?
No, the paragraph above the forms of payment, it says Glenarden Community Center usage. Councilman Herring suggested that we should separate the Gold Room documents from the community center. So are we going to take that out of the Gold Room? This is what we're doing now, is setting up the Gold Room and both, but we're going to make sure that both of these, anything pertaining to the community center is going to be on a different document, and the Gold Room will be another document. As far as the guidelines and rules, they'll be separate and not put together. Is that what we're striving for?
Yes.
That's what I think you should do. That way you won't have it all run together for, you know, the person should not read everything that they're not, read all the stuff that they're not purchasing.
Okay.
They just don't have to see what they had, because people will read that. Well, I read that and we were like, no, that was for the community room. That wasn't for the Gold Room.
Okay. All right.
Can we go up to item B at the top, the payments?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm making notes. Going at the top to where?
Yeah, question about the payments, payment 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure that that's currently happening. I'm assuming this is new, being proposed.
Yes.
Okay, the concern I would have is trying to track those depending on if someone chooses to go with payments. If we have a lot of those, it might be a little difficult to keep track of. So my concern is having, 3 different payments and having to track those in terms of who's paid what.
So you want to do just full payment
Yeah,
or
I
deposit
think-
and then
Yeah.
so many days full payment?
sure. Deposit and then so many days for full payment.
Let me work all of that out.
So payment number 2, so schedule payment 35, the first payment 2, schedule payment 35, this is due prior, that could be taken out.
Mhm.
And then, so payment 1 is a non-refundable booking fee. Well,
Right.
You have a problem with that.
are we
payment number
doing
one, I don't
non-refundable?
think that's right. Yeah, because if you
Yeah,
booking,
I don't
if I
know.
book a year out and I decide to change my mind, I should get
Yeah.
my money
Yeah.
back. You know, you shouldn't keep
Yeah, I
30%
get
of for
some of
what?
that.
Because you put it in the computer? I don't think that's fair.
But if you come the day before you decide you don't want it, that we had that on the books for over almost a year, and somebody else could have got it if you didn't come immediately.
Well, that's down at but the final payment when it's due, and I think it's something in here that also says if it's not paid by a certain time, you forfeit anyway.
Security.
For
Yeah,
events.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So should there be some criteria where, hey, look, if you cancel within, 20
30
days,
days before.
yeah.
But it's right there. It says if full payment of balance is not received at least 30 days before the event will be canceled and the renter's full deposit and payment to date will be forfeited. So 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there. And 3-2 can just come out because we're not going to schedule any payments anymore.
Right.
Okay. So, but what I was talking about was, let's say I book a year out and I put, a down payment down. Now I've scheduled that day. Let's say I did one of the slots, it's a full day. And now a week before, I say, you know what, I cancel. Or even if, let's say, because let's do 40 days out, I cancel. Should there be criteria that, hey, look, if you're within 60 days, then you lose your deposit because of the fact that we held that day for so long, and we probably won't be able to book that day. Just to read, I don't know.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and I have seen that type of language. It's almost like a combination of the I at the bottom and an additional security measure. So it's basically saying, what did you say, Anthony? I mean,
Page
Councilman? It's on page
Page
8, right? Okay, so we'll
yeah.
get to page 8.
Cancellation policy. Mhm.
Okay, so
Okay.
don't,
All right, page 8. Just a heads up. So just to give us a pace, right? We're on page
6.
6, and there are 40 pages.
Mm.
I have 24.
Yeah, 20.
Well, 24 for the first set, and I think the other
Oh,
two
okay.
other pages that are included are self-explanatory, like the different
Contract.
the contracts and stuff. Those are, the master catering contract. That's, those are the things you're going to have in place. If the council decides we want to do like Ms. Howard said, she was pleased to see a gratis application. So, but the other things are like they just have to take out the Woodmore Town Center, but they still, if they bring in food and things, it will still fall under the catering contracts and stuff like that. So, this is just 24 pages, the first 24 pages. If
Okay.
you want to go, that's where we're going. I'm not sure. I don't have everything I think I only have another couple of pages that I wanted to highlight, but I'm not sure what the other council members might have.
Okay, so before we go on to the next page, I believe we got rid of something that I haven't highlighted here. It was
Payment number 2, scheduled payment 35%. This payment is due 90 days prior to the event. So payment number 1, instead of saying non-refundable booking fee, that should be security deposit. It's not non-refundable booking fee, it's just security deposit. And then payment number 3 becomes final payment. We could delete the whole 35% and all that stuff.
down payment. Right,
Yeah, that's security deposit. Yeah.
security, thank you.
And Council President, just remember we delete the percentages, okay?
Gracious. Did we get rid of number 2 here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Page 7, did we do 7?
No. we didn't do-
No, there's
So under section 5B, I'm talking fast unintentionally. So 5B, gratis is a waived rental fee for use of the go room that is granted to, the word TO is missing, granted to a nonprofit organization.
Mhm.
And then it should say in the city. So we wanted to, so granted to TO, a nonprofit organization, and you delete, and then delete the word or outside of. And then the other part that I saw is at the very bottom where it says application process. It seems like the word is missing, words are missing.
Where?
Keep going. Application process right there. All gratis applications must be submitted to the events manager for eligibility confirmation. The application must include a, and it's just stays, there's something missing there.
That was another, yeah. Where's the maybe it just must include an application. I don't know, but I would just take that out until we can't figure. But there was another question that would come up when folks was requesting gratis was, do they have to pay the deposit? Everything will be waived. Is that we're agreeing to as a council? Mm-hmm. That all the fees, that there would be no deposit, no.
Well, in here and in the old rules, it was always just $100 just to cover basic maintenance, almost like the community room. I think that's the only fee they had to pay.
And what about liability to any, like the chief was stating about damage and stuff like that? Even with gratis, are they held to some type of liability if something was to happen? You're saying that $100 would cover that, Councilman Herring?
I'm not saying that's what it would cover, but that's what we've been doing historically, just charging them $100 and the city take on the rest because it's basically a free room.
Okay.
And I guess we're saying we're going to take the liability for it since we're giving it to them.
So did we want to continue to do that? Because I know before a couple of gratises back that was requested, we didn't charge them anything.
Right. They should have been
If
charged.
I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
So do we want to do that?
I mean, we can still charge $100 and I guess see where we go from there. And if we got to take it up, we can take it up. Or charge them a security deposit and just refund it to them. They'll still get it for free, but at least we'll be covered if there's damage.
I would agree to charge the security deposit, and that way, you know, like you said, if something, as long as everything was intact, we wouldn't have. It would be refundable, but it's at the pleasure of the council.
Recommendations, and if people disagree, they can voice it. If not, then we can move on. So is there?
Oh, I do. Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I also actually, if you go up to item number 3, current and former city council.
Uh-huh.
The stats can be awarded to gratis, may awarded to former or current city council elected officials once per year for a repass to memorialize their, whatever, or for an elected official to hold a meeting of public interest. I think that needs to come out. I mean, there's no way in the world I'm going to deny any current official only one repass if they have 2 deaths in a year of a close family member. And, and of course we used to go over whenever we need it for any type of meeting, expungement, Hill City, anything else. So is this saying that we can use the government only once per year for a public interest event? the council. Now I can see if you're gonna do it for other elected officials, but the city council, who we technically own it.
Any opposition to removing this?
Wait a minute now, explain that again. It says for elected officials to hold a meeting. So, but the way I've seen it in the last 6 years I've been on the council, if an elected official comes forth, whether it be Senator Benson, Delegate Jazz, or any of the others, Anthony Brown, when he came every year. He used to come every year. I've never known any of them to use it more than one time a year. So, but you're like including when you say for the expungement thing, we do that once a year. So of course that's going to be waived.
But we do expungement, cancer awareness. Glenarden Day we used to go wrong. So it's like 3 times every year. But I think what the problem is that they're mixing 2 things together. They're mixing they're mixing the council with other elected officials. And I think they need to take the Glenarden council part out.
Yeah.
Unless you take the current, take current out, but for former city council members, they can get it for once a year. Yeah, I respect for them even serving on the council, but the current needs to come out of it.
But it says they want them to use it. It reads as if they're using it for a repass. Like if a former council person passes away, then their family can use the gold room for a repass.
Right, and that's not with that. Yeah, but I would take out the current.
Okay.
Council, because
Okay.
we for everything, take the current out and leave former in. And then the rest of it should be okay, or for an elected official to hold a public meeting, of public interest, which we've always offered them,
Okay.
The senators and congressmen, they can have it one time.
So wait, are we saying that the current council members could, I understand we're saying what the former city council is, why we're putting it there, but is it implied that the current council can utilize this for gratis, or are we saying something else?
Yeah, it's already implied because we technically own it. Why would we give it to ourselves for free?
Well,
I'm just saying,
you're saying to use it for public events, not necessarily for our own personal use.
Right, not by personal use, no.
well, let me just give you a real situation here. Councilwoman Fareed and myself, we held an event last year. It was for the public, but it wasn't a city council sponsored event. It was myself and Councilwoman Fareed, and we had to pay out of pocket for usage of the gratis. I'm sorry, for the usage of the gold room.
Okay, so how do we want to address that? Do we want to address that differently now?
Well, I guess the clarification I think would be, for city council, for city sponsored events. So I guess.
But the event that they had was like to bring the community together. Am I correct?
Yes, it was a spotlight. It was a spotlight on, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, we were told that we had to pay out of our pockets because it was not a city council event, even though Councilwoman Fareed and I were the ones that were doing it for citizens, for a population of our citizens.
Well, I can see if it was for an event for something that's going to bring the community together, but for your own personal use, like if I wanted to give my son a birthday party, I couldn't come up there and ask for gratis, because we probably gonna need police for him.
But that's why I raised that point for clarity, because it did cost a lot of money for both Councilwoman Fareed and I to come out of pocket to pay for this event.
Okay.
I guess I think you should have ran it through the council.
We had staff at the time, so I'll just stay quiet.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we just do this? We remove current, keep this as former city council or former city elected officials? Or you want to do former city?
I think former city elected officials, because we have had mayors who, passed away. And
I suggest that there's another bullet for county and state elected officials. So we just clarify that they don't get lumped in with city officials.
Right, it should be separated.
Yeah. All right.
Then you want to take out current also on the first line up there.
First
Boom.
line.
At the end of the sentence that you just highlighted, where it says current or former, if you go all the way down to the end of that sentence. Right there.
Oh, okay. Great. All right. All right. Anything else on this page? And Council Clerk, I'll use you as my backup. I'm trying to make as much edits as possible, but if you see something I miss, please note. Take a note. All right, on to 8. Were there any updates on page 8?
Cancellation policy that you were mentioning.
Oh, yeah,
Is
yes,
that-
yes. Thank you.
About
Yep. Yeah, this is it. I don't know why it's not.
I think we actually changed it because we say we're not going to charge that 30% for the booking fee. That's 90 days out. From booking date to 89 days prior. We are saying we're going to take that out.
Yeah, and it's just will be that's
Loss of
security
security
deposit.
deposit. It'll just be loss of security deposit. But Derek, I'm sorry, Council President, I will delete the word non-refundable as well.
That's perfect. All right.
So are we good with the Glenarden Community Center at Woodmore cancellation policy?
We should separate all this out.
Yeah, that'll be separated.
I'll circle it because we know what we're gonna do with that. All right. Page 9. Any updates on page 9?
No, I'm good with that.
One question on number 8. Just was curious about this. Go down to number 8. It says number 8, 3. Bubbles may be blown outside the facility only.
Bubbles, yeah. I guess they're talking about, because you can have those great big bubbles and you can have the little bottle of bubbles. I don't know if it causes a issue or maybe some people are allergic. I don't know.
No, as far as
Mhm.
bubbles, it's probably because of slippery. You know how it's like soapy materials? I guess that's how I read it.
When it's a floor. I know a lot of times when they have weddings, they use do bubbles because they can't do confetti or rose petals or something. No, I just was curious about why not.
Because
bubbles?
well, with the rice and the bird seed, somebody could slip on that. That's
I
why you
understand.
can't throw it at churches anymore. Now the fresh flower petals, I'm not sure if
I
it's
circled
because-
that. I would normally say fresh flowers on the floor is not permissible, but because sometimes people put fresh flowers on the table.
Mhm.
And I think that could be a deterrent. If for weddings and stuff, I know some people want fresh flowers on their tables.
Right. And then for centerpieces, they use fresh flowers, so that shouldn't be a problem for a centerpiece. But that says fresh flower petals. It says may not be thrown inside or outside of our facility. So they don't want them thrown on the floor or anything like that. With that, that's what I'm reading, that it's not, they don't want it.
Well, it says strictly prohibited and may not be thrown inside or outside of facilities.
Yeah. Because the table confetti and the rice and the bird seed stuff, they stopped doing that because people, somebody would, it's possible that somebody could slip and fall on those types of things.
Yes, what is it?
Yeah, I don't get the flower. I mean, like I said, if you have weddings, a lot of times they want to throw them flower petals down as they walk down the aisle. So, with your flower girls.
Yeah, but a lot of times they use the artificial, but I can see the fresh petals not being able to be allowed, because if they get mashed into because they have a they can soil the carpet.
Yeah.
If they mash, they mash because it's still moist, and if somebody just stepping on just like leaves or something, and then there's a whole bunch of if it got red, it's gonna it could mess up the carpet.
Yeah, if they were using a runner, to throw them down with the flower girls coming down, that's one thing, but still,
Yeah, so, but we do want to permit them on the tables, correct?
Yes.
If the park don't have
Is it
tables.
loose, or you're talking just fresh flowers in an arrangement?
Fine. Loose
Are you saying
flowers,
fresh flowers or fresh flower petals?
both.
I would just put fresh flower arrangements on it, or
Arrangements,
fresh
yeah.
flower arrangement on the tables.
I think it's got that wrong. Shoot, it's like petals, P-E-B-T.
T, no,
P.
Petals.
I'm thinking of petals.
Uh-huh.
All right. What am I doing? Oh, okay, sorry. All right.
So there's a typo, Council President, under balloons, number 2. Balloons must be deflated and disposed of prior to exiting the property. Balloons may not only be released. I don't know if it's may only be released or if it's may not be released, but it's not
It's
reading.
may not. It's a law in Maryland now that
Okay.
you can't release balloons.
Okay, so I would delete the word only. For, I'll wait till you finish.
All right.
For candles, open and unprotected flames, including on, I would say on candelabras, because some people also use candelabras for decoration, even without lighting the candle. So I would probably write the word on. And then under section 9, event manager right there, DEM, just where it says points of entry and exits are designated by the city manager and may be adjusted by the events manager on the day of the event, should be on-site manager, DEM necessary. I don't know what DEM, I don't know what that sentence was trying to say, but DEM, I don't know what that is.
Which letter?
It says, like, after the word, right where you are, day of the event, should the on-site event manager, is that deemed necessary? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Probably.
Yeah.
DEEM.
Yeah, I can just cut it out.
All right. Anything else on page 10? Put on 11.
We need to check the capacity. What is the actual capacity of the goal room? I know we
Page
got
11, yeah. That the fire marshal did that last year, and the certification is, the certificate is in the gold room room. But right here, it also talks about the capacity seating for the gold room, and it talks about these standing cocktail reception theater style seats, because they, in the special events revitalization plan that was brought to the council, and these yellow areas, I think, is where they were planning on, through the budget, they were going to purchase those new tables, chairs, and the standing, these types of things. So that's something that I believe that once the city manager and the council brings on a person for the gold room, that the city manager can sit down and, because I think an inventory was done, and we only had, like, even though the capacity is like maybe 300, we only had 150 good chairs and 140 other chairs. So when the new city manager, I'm sorry, not new city manager, don't say that. When the new gold room person comes on, manager comes on, then they can do inventory again, possibly with Public Works, to find out exactly how many chairs we have and tables that are in good use. Just a thought.
I think, for Tommy Broadwater's thing, I think we had 30 tables at 8 chairs per table. So then I know that thing they got 240. But we did go.
They brought those tables in from the if I'm not mistaken, they brought them in from the community center.
Yeah, they bought 8. They bought 8 tables from there and the chairs.
Mm-hmm. So
are we changing anything? Yeah.
We need to find. Well, I'm still trying to figure out what is the actual capacity of the gold room. I know it's in the gold room.
I thought I saw something that said 350.
I thought it was like 350, 360, something like that.
yeah, but I think it was with the stage, it was so many people, and then without the stage, it was so many people. But like I said, the fire marshal came in and did an actual capacity check for the room, and they left the certification is on the wall in the gold room manager's office.
Yeah, I did Chief Brian, I did a walkthrough with them when they did the check the 5 extinguishers, did a walkthrough, and I want to say, I think it's 300 capacity. It's 300 or 350, but they did put the signs on the wall for the occupancy and stuff. So I got to check, because I think we do one again soon, probably in might be August or something like that, but we have time.
Yeah, but I think the
Uh,
occupancy, the certification is on the wall in the Gold Room Manager's office. I think
Yeah.
that's where I saw it last.
They got it posted.
Mhm.
They got it posted in like 3 areas. For the
Well, I
citizens.
can walk over there and look. I mean, you
Yeah.
want me to?
Come back to it. I do believe I know I saw a 3. So I'm
Yeah.
not crazy. So it's at 300 or 350, but we can make that update. You don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
Okay, all right, fine.
Yeah, I think it's, they probably gave us both numbers because usually it's like 300 for seating, 350 for a theater style. 'Cause standing cocktail, I don't know what that is. I mean, I've never seen anybody do it.
They're talking about those cocktail tables where you could stand up. In fact, the last Gold Room event that I was present at, the persons bought in about 6 of those cocktail tables that you could stand up to and not sit, and the people were eating and drinking from those tables. They had them strategically placed around the room.
Yeah, I think Kat had them at one of her events.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
That's our daughter, Sweet 16.
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, we can update this once we have like final numbers and then tag that in.
Okay. And 12 is going to be the same way with as far as with the podium and the small speaker system, projection screen. If we want to offer those types of things to rent, we would still have to purchase those things to offer them. So during the like I said, when the new person comes in and they look at the revitalization plan, if they want to implement that or want to do something different, we know that those things have to be purchased.
Well, we already have a podium in there that they use sometimes. I don't think we should charge for it either. Podium is just, it rolls right out and rolls back in.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I think, some upgrades to the Go Room will be warranted. Like I know there was one event, we could if it's not at night, if it's during the day and someone wants to use a projector, you can't really see.
Well, that's because of the windows that are in there. You can't, the sun hits those windows. The ones that are designed that let in light. Back in the day, they were actually wider than that. We actually closed them down some when we redid the roof. But yeah, you'll need something to pull across those if you have any type of projection. Like when we did a movie day, we actually we had to have Public Works actually cover those up in order to do a projection. When we did a movie day up in there.
Yeah. I guess we could brainstorm how that would work, but and I do also know that we probably need some more outlets in there too, electrical outlets.
You need electricity in there. Look at them, because some of them are just dead. Some of them can't hold a current over the size of a vacuum cleaner. So they're old, but it needs to be rewired.
Okay.
Yeah, that whole electrical system in the Gold Room needs to be updated.
Okay. Well, electrical system in the municipal center needs to be updated.
That too.
All right, any other points?
Yes. For
All
me,
right.
I disagree with number 3, external equipment section. The part that is highlighted, hold on a second, I'm sorry, underneath that where it says letter A, the removal or rearrangement of glow room furniture and flowers or other equipment is strictly prohibited. I would probably say without prior approval. I would want to add a sentence there saying without prior approval from the events manager or city manager, whichever you want to say.
Why is this so huge?
And I also disagree with letter C. I don't like the sole discretion of the city manager and event manager. If I'm paying for something and I want my DJ to not be on the stage, but to be, on the floor or vice versa, I don't think it's fair for it to say that the sole discretion of the city manager and event manager. And I'm talking about letter C.
I agree with that too. I think, they're basically paying for that space, so they should be able to do it as long as it's in conformance with what we require. They should be able to put it where they want to put it.
I would remove it.
So remove that the sole, the entire.
I mean, because it's already implied in other places that we're going to give the floor plan and this and that. So the whole
Right.
location of this and that, and it's at the sole discretion, it becomes too draconian for me. It's like the event manager is like looking at a globe or a bubble and saying like, we can't do this, can't do that. Like, no.
All right. Mayor Cross, is it you? Did you mean to have your hand up?
Yes, Council President, on that capacity question, it's 330. That's the fire marshal sheet that we have. It does have a standing capacity of 700, but we don't have that many chairs and tables to accommodate that much. So 330 is what the fire marshal statement says. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. Page 13, any updates?
Yes. Again, I think page 13. Yep. Again, it's similar to the other one where I'm looking at under setup and breakdown. And the 3 I's, where it says the events manager may make changes to the floor plans at any time for safety and liability reasons. I would say it needs to say something about will alert the rentor. Like just saying that they'll change it at any time, there needs to be something in there like will alert the rentor.
No. No, I'm telling you. All right, sorry, I thought I was, anything else?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry about Councilwoman Jones. This is just probably going to go for other pages as well, but you see the Roman, I guess where it says 60 days in advance of the scheduled event for approval. I think it's right above that, Council President. Keep going, right there, preliminary floor plan. I think we need to maybe even an asterisk or something like that where we say that, because it's implying that somebody rented it months in advance, but there's some folks like for the repasses that we've heard about that rent in less than 30 days. So we want to make sure that they still have time to submit a floor plan within the 60 days. So there's that. I'll be quiet, just two more comments, and I'll wait till you're done.
So I'm sorry, so what do you want to put here?
No, well, basically it's saying they have to give it 60 days in advance, but how about folks who are renting something like for a repass? or less than 30 days, they need to rent the Gold Room, what happens to their preliminary floor plan, right? Because it has to be, it's saying that it has to be 60 days in advance.
So what edit
But
do you
what-
want me to make here?
Yeah, what if it's less than 60 days?
Yeah, no, I get that.
I was just
So-
more so thinking, again, I don't know if there, I think there was language somewhere in the front. I'll come back to this where it's talked about, like, for events that are less than 30 days, you know, everything has to be done upon signage or whatever we want to call it, upon a rental deposit time or whatever we want to call
So you want to come back to this?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
For number 4 at the bottom, I just had a question where it talks about handicap access doors. So what if you have handicapped individuals and the door is closed? Do they typically still come to the main entrance doors?
That was my question too about that right there, because the fact is, even now when they have events I know when the prior person was here, Gold Room coordinator, they would lock that door. But if somebody came with a handicap, they would open it, you know, let them in, because they said it was for security reasons. But now I noticed that they leave it open during the whole event and people are coming in and out of it. So as long as somebody's going to be at that door somebody's watching that door to watch the traffic coming in and out, I guess. Yeah, but if it's a handicap door, I don't see why it would remain locked, because of the fact, well, once all the handicapped people show up, then maybe after that the door can be locked. But I think they locked that door because it's in the back of the building, and you know, well, the Gold Room personnel would have to be cognizant of. We have to watch all areas, you know, and then the cameras that are in the Gold Room, you can see that hallway. So if they're being mindful of looking at that, then it shouldn't be an issue of leaving it open, of leaving the doors unlocked. But like you said, I got questions too. Yeah. Anybody help?
I know we did have this. Why I mean, the door is actually supposed to stay unlocked, because you never know when a handicapped person is going to come up there and try to get in. They may come late. They may come. You know, they may have to leave. You know, and they shouldn't have to be able to. They should be able to freely get in and out of the building. But we did have an event one day, and a woman came, and the door was locked, and she was in a wheelchair, and she was actually sat on a commission for disabilities for Prince George's County. And she said, and she actually told us, you know, that door should not have been locked. That door should be open at all times, because a person with a disability should be able to come and go freely without having to wait for somebody to come open the door and let them in, or being locked out and waiting for somebody to come open it up. And she told us, if she comes up here, come to that Gold Room again, and that door is locked during an event, she's going to bring charges, you know, against the city, because that is a violation of the People with Disabilities Act, because again, they can't freely open, because, you know, everybody can't use their hands to get in and out either, you know, so the door needs to be open. They need to fix it so that that push button actually works, so that somebody can get in. So it really should be unlocked. You know, it should be unlocked.
Chief Bryant is.
Yes, what Councilman Herring stated. I know when I first when we had the other coordinator, we walked through and that door was locked. And when somebody wanted to request it to come in like handicapped from the back parking lot, we would unlock it. But Councilman, when I did a walkthrough with the fire department, we discussed that, and they saying, well, that door need to be unlocked. Pretty much what Councilman Herring stated, the fire marshal did say that when we did the walkthrough during events. And it's a code for that door that we had to get in, but it's been deactivated.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. so that that door does need to be unlocked during events. But we usually should have somebody monitor it. We did a good job with that at first, but as of late we haven't. So we need to get back on that. Thank you.
I do have another question. If we go back up to where Councilman Guillaume was speaking about the floor plan. Where the events manager can change the floor plan at any time.
All right, hold on a
Wait a minute,
second.
wait a minute. On four, when they say unlocked, they're talking about just unlocked, not propped open.
Yeah, just unlocked, not
Yeah,
propped open.
Yeah, usually, I've seen them propped open just like, with cones and, door stoppers and everything else. Okay. All right, thanks.
All right, Councilman Harron, what were you
Yeah, I
saying?
just wanted to ask a question. Why would the event manager need to make any change if you're giving her a floor plan 60 days in advance?
It's saying for safety and liability reasons. What safety, what liability reasons?
Yeah, if you had it 60 days in advance, you can already say, okay, you can't have a table in front of this door, you can't have this table here, you can't have that's what I thought the 60-day notice was for. So I'm not sure why they would give them the option to change things around. Because I didn't understand that statement in there.
I would assume that if something pops up, something happens, it just gives us some flexibility that if a safety or liability issue happened, I don't know, that we would be able to make it those changes and alert the renter. And I know that we have it 6 days in advance, but if like something drastic were to happen, I don't know. I don't know, but I would argue to keep it in there for flexibility because it's a a caveat if we need to, but we probably in most cases won't.
I was just curious as why they would need to move anything if they got a floor plan in advance.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. We can go on.
All right. All right, page 14, any?
Wait. I'm sorry. Right there. Stop right there. Entry and exit access, where it says only the event host and service provider will be permitted to remain, it should be remain, not remaining, in the building during the breakdown period. I also have an issue with that because I think for those of us who have had things in the gold room, sometimes you have folks there who are helping you try to get as much stuff out in less than in an hour's time. And it's not necessarily just the vendors. So I just don't think it should just be the event hosts and the service providers.
That's true, because then you run off your hours and then they get hit you with a late fee.
Exactly, you get deposit.
Yeah. You need at least 10 people to break down that room in at least an hour, at least 10. And that's even pushing it.
All right. So 13, any edits? So 14.
Yes, if we look at number 2, licensed and insured catering. That's the same thing again with the 60 days thing. Again, we want to make sure that there's room here for folks who are renting in less than 60 days time. And then under health department inspection, blah, blah, blah. A copy of food handler's permit for, I would delete the word the.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
All right, and you said what else?
Where it says a copy of go down, food handler's permit. For, it says the word for the, at least, it should say for at least one event. Delete the word the.
I'm lost.
A copy of a go down, right there, go up.
Is it 4?
No, it's right
Three?
there,
Right there.
right there. A copy of a food
Oh.
handler's permit for, delete the word the.
Oh, okay.
And quick question, do we usually get all 4 of these things from folks?
Yep.
Okay. So if people get food from like Hip Hop Chicken or whatever, they can't do that now, or they're gonna have to pull all these things for them?
Usually that's bought in food. If you're having an event, I mean, like, yeah, that proves to be an issue. I'm gonna let you all handle that one. Because if you bring in food from someplace, you don't know about, I guess if it's something, I'm thinking if it's a establishment that we know, like we know that Horace and Dickey has to have all these licenses and insurance from the for the county, you have to be able to present that. If I'm thinking if you bringing it in like that, but to bring it up in out of My Mama Kitchen, that might be a different issue because we don't know what My Mama Kitchen look like. I could have my dogs laying around while I'm preparing food, or my cat walking on the counter. I don't know that, but I know places like Hip Hop Chicken and Horace and Dickey or Silver Diner. We know that they are already required by the state of Maryland and the county to have certain food handlers licenses and stuff like that. So,
But how do people verify this? Like how am I to bring this, if I have to give you all this stuff 60 days or whatever days in advance, and let's say I have Levi's or Horace and Dickey or Hip Hop Chicken or Silver Diner Catering, how am I going to, do I just tell you guys that this is what I'm doing? Not you guys, meaning.
Yeah, but no, usually when you rent a venue, you're supposed to have a caterer, but you can see, whereas we have events, whereas when we did the 7th Street Park, Councilwoman Fareed, she brought in some food stuff from Hip Hop Chicken, and we knew that place has to have all those certifications, so there shouldn't be a problem. But like I said, if we had brought in the food from My Mama Kitchen, we don't know what that looked like or if it's health department certified.
Right.
No,
I hear you. I'm just saying, like, what's the verification? Because they're not getting.
As long as it's a notable, to me, this is me. I'm not the state of Maryland and I'm not Prince George's County, but to me, if I know it's coming out of a reputable place that, like Hip Hop Chicken or Horace and Dickey or Silver Diner or Wegmans, and I see that that's what's on the box, I'm not going to have I don't have an issue with that, but that this is me. So this is something that has to be, we should ask the new go room coordinator, at her discretion. But I'm believing that all events like this, you normally have caterers, but we do have events at City Hall that the council has, the expungement fair, the 7th Street Park, where we bring in food stuff that from persons that we know that they have to have all that from for the county. Because if the health department rolled up into Hip Hop Chicken, they better be able to display whatever they're asking for when it comes down to how they're doing business and handling food.
Yeah, I would probably just opt for a liability form, like something along those lines. Like if you are getting food from what, I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, the city won't be held liable. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something along those lines, because you could get food from anywhere, and next you know, whether it's I'm not attacking any franchise in the city of Glenarden, but as reputable as they can be, we could get it from them. I mean, somebody who's renting the facility can get it from them. And then next thing you know, something happens, right? So if they're not going to be able to provide all of these 4 things, they need to at least have, there needs to be like a waiver of some sort. I know, I think I saw it somewhere in here, but there needs to be a waiver of some sort.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is a waiver in here for anything like that. And that's why I think the reason why the gold room is so flex, I mean, it's popular because you got flexibility. And like I said, you can use a caterer or you can bring in food, but you no matter what, you got to sign a waiver that holds the city harmless from anything that you get sick from. Because we're not providing any food. We don't even provide you the space to we don't provide you space to cook it. We just give you a place to keep it cool. But so you can't so I think that, you know, people should have that option, you know, to either one. If you want to use a caterer, if you use a caterer, you're definitely going to have the information that they're requesting if it's required. But if you don't, because I see that as an issue when it comes down to repasses, because it's very hard to get a caterer in like 3 days for a repass, you know. And a lot of times people just bring food in, but they do sign a waiver holding the city harmless for anything that they get sick from. Because again, we're not supplying it. We don't bring it in. We just tell you, we give you a refrigerator and a freezer and a place to keep it warm, and that's it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that that's what the county is allowing now. I think that the county is requesting that, you know.
We would need to just add that option.
So
The county, I can rent a county facility right now over there on Almar Road, which is a county facility, that little rec room over there by the field, and I can bring anything in there I want to, and it's a county-owned facility. You know.
Oh, you're
so
talking about the park and planning facility?
Because they only rent the space. That's all they rent you a space.
Oh, so you're talking about the park and
facility.
plan? Yeah. Okay.
But they still fall under health code violations. I mean, health code standards for the county. But you rent the rec over there across the street. I know Ms. Wilson gave her a party over there in a basketball court over in the recreation center. And they have food over there, and you know they play card games. They bring food over there. So you know, it's more when I looked at the link that they had in there. That link takes you straight to the health department if you want to start a catering business and all the requirements that you have to have when you start a catering business. So I think, you know, as long as we got them signing a letter of a waiver of liability, we should be fine, because that's what they've been signing all the time, and we've never ran into an issue.
Okay, because it says at the bottom, it says here at the bottom, that council president has highlighted a waiver is needed for outside food. So I would put a waiver is needed, a waiver of what is it? Liability is needed for any outside food. So it would hold us harmless.
Part of this packet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a part of this packet here.
So that would address that issue.
Right.
Yeah. All right, are we good?
Yep.
Any questions on 15? Comments? All right. Question, comments on 16?
No, that will address the alcohol issues. So.
Okay. Questions, comments on 17?
Council President, just the bottom of ticketed events, again, just at no later than 60 days prior. Just keep going down. Just again, that's why I said we should just probably do a standard language with the asterisk, so we'll just always refer back to that.
Okay.
And I'll come up with some language. I just can't think of any right now.
All right. Sorry, guys, a little bit.
2 more pages, we're almost there.
All right, 18.
I have my edits here also. I'll be quick. Where it says non-alcoholic events,
Mm-hmm.
events where alcohol is not served will be required, the word "be" should be omitted.
Also, Councilman, could you go back to that advertisement section when you finish with that?
Advertising section.
Yeah, the last, I think it's section 8.
Back the other way,
Yeah, yeah, right,
right there.
right there. Where it says, which I think is actually against the law, no advertisement can be, it says, advertisements such as posters, flyers, etc., may not be displayed within a 3-mile radius of the James R. Cousins Municipal Building. I don't think you can actually do that. You're telling somebody they can't put out an advertisement or for an event within 3 miles of the building? I actually don't think that's legal. Because it's like freedom of expression. You can put out what you want to put out, you know.
This is a ticketed event.
Even if it's ticketed, you still can advertise when you want to advertise. If that's the case, yeah, I'm not understanding that whole 3-mile radius thing. Yeah, I just think we need to look at that and see. But my thing is, because who's going to say what? I mean, because now you use social media, so it's on social media, so it's like right there on your computer. So that's what I was saying. You're looking at social media where it's right there. You put it on your phone. So what if you got it on your phone and you show it to somebody? Are you in violation because you're within 3 miles of the building?
Yeah, and that's outside of that's outside the city. I think
that's outside the city. Yeah, it means you can't advertise in the city of Glenarden.
Okay, so let's put an asterisk next to that and find out if there's some law or something that says that we can't do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Back to that page that we were on, the next page, the next
Yep.
line where it says alcohol events. That first sentence also, it doesn't make sense. It says events where alcohol is not served will be required. So it should be events where alcohol is served will require. So delete the word "be" as well.
Sorry. This might be a
And sorry, guys, I do this for a living. I'm always reading things, so I'm sorry.
yeah.
That's what alcohol is.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
Okay, I get it now.
So the other part as well, Council President, under music and entertainment, I have an issue with probably that whole section. But if I'm just looking at just what I would probably want to omit, looking at the 2 I's, the 2 letter I's, the event manager has the absolute discretion of where vendors may, it's just like the other one, may set up the equipment and where electrical outlets may be used for, like, we need to, if the floor plan is going to be established, then we don't need this.
Let me just say in that instance, why they may have it in here is because of the electrical, because the electrical backed by the Gold Room Coordinator's office will not hold a DJ equipment.
Correct,
blow-
but, oh, sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead. But but they should know that, right? Like when we're doing the floor plan, they should say, well,
They should.
you see what I mean?
But I guess if somebody says, I want it here, I want to have an assistant, they insisted they want it there, she's gonna have to override that. But she should know, yeah, I mean, everything should be set up when they walk through. She should tell them everything.
Yeah, and I just know that I had, I didn't have a good experience with two Golden coordinators ago, where I was doing something for my daughter and they just couldn't understand that I didn't want all these tables. I didn't want this. I had my own stuff. And that's where I'm coming with this. Like you can't have the complete discretion. So where it says absolute discretion on where vendors may set up the equipment. Okay. And the other one is,
So we're getting rid of this
it's
part.
up to council. I'm just saying that for me, that's where my thing was coming from. So if folks see it otherwise, that's fine. I just want to note that. And
Okay, one second. So any opposition to removing this? All right. Go ahead, Councilwoman Gill.
just above that, like, so are we, the Roman dot before that, the I, is that also the norm? Like the event manager, I'm sorry, the city manager is the one that approves this. I see the other stuff, but the DJs, including the DJs, it's subject to approval by the city manager.
That was done years ago because there's certain bands that we would not allow in the go room.
Okay.
Certain,
Go. Okay.
yeah,
it.
go
I just
bands.
didn't know.
Okay.
Is that still the case, guys, or no? I'm just asking, just because if I'm doing something, do I need to give the credentials of the DJ?
Well, yeah, usually, because I mean, but one also because you got to issue with the dance hall licenses that the county issues. So if they think that a venue is bringing in a certain type of element, they will shut it down. So we are trying to keep that element out of the gold room. So I mean, most of the time, most DJs are pretty straightforward because they play what you want. The bands that you have to look at, and some DJs that can be pretty, they just spend just to bring people in and sell tickets.
Got it.
Okay, so under miscellaneous, it says, except for authorized cash bar sales for nonprofit organizations, no money may be exchanged anywhere on the premises of the James R. Cousin Jr. Municipal Center. Now, one of the last events that I oversaw was they had a bar, and they were putting money in I guess the bartender had a jar, and they were putting money inside of that. Is that prohibited, or is that something or is that if they have a bartender? This says except for authorized cash bar sales, no money, okay, for that. But if you have if it's an open bar and they have a tip jar, that's money being exchanged. Is how do we want to address that?
I think tips are fine for me personally, because you're not making a profit out of it. The person who's renting the venue is not the one making a profit. It's just, I don't know, it's just.
Yeah, they're not technically exchanging it for a service. They're leaving you something for just because they want to, because they're not required to leave you a tip.
Okay, so I guess we can just leave that part in and know that, if it's, well, if we find out that they're
selling
do it for profit or something like that, then we can, if the bartender is set up, they brought in a bartender, Uncle Billy, he's coming in, he's going to be the bartender, and he tells everybody, I want $2 for each drink, then we can address that. So we'll leave that in there to address that.
All right. Page 19.
So 19, I think, is dealing with the Woodmore Town Center. Those last 2 pages, 19 and 20. They're dealing with the Woodmore Town Center, and then the 19, 20, and 21 probably. Let me see what 21 looks like.
Yeah, that talks about the conduct.
Yeah. Well, I guess citizens' conduct on page 21, because 19 and 20 deal with the Woodmore Town Center itself. So we said we were going to separate that,
Yeah,
and then the 21 deals with conduct.
but that's
And that
what
would
goes, that's what Wilmore Town Center done. Cause see, it goes from E to F.
Mhm. Okay, so that is for the Woodmore. So all 3 of those pages are for the Woodmore Town Center. So I think at this juncture, we're good with the Go Room, because that's the one we wanted to target in on.
So oh goodness gracious. We're moving pages 19 and 20, or what are we doing? We're moving pages 19 through 21?
Well, those are for the Wilmore Town Center, so we're looking at Gold Room tonight, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other things that we removed from the Gold Room that pertain to the Wilmore Community Center, we can just put those in here, because I don't think when you look at, unless somebody else saw something on 19, 20, and 21, I think that the rules for the community center can be reviewed now by Ms. Habita and the new Gold Room coordinator, whoever that's going to be, and determine, send it back to the council.
I'm fine with that as well, Councilwoman Jones, because some of the things that we've already touched for the Woodmore Town Center, I'm sorry, for the Gold Room, are things that I was scratching out for the community center at Woodmore Town Center. It's things that we already touched on. Like the events manager may make changes to the floor plans at any time. That's under setup and breakdown on page 20, things like that. So that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. That was what, 19, 20?
Go down, go up from the kit on the 20. Let me see that. They said something about the heat and air conditioning. I'm not sure if they're still even having that problem over there.
On what page?
Keep going up. Oh, no, that's the Go Room fee schedule. No, go back. We want to go back to the Woodmore Town Center.
Yeah, under HVAC, it's on number 11. 4.
What are you talking about?
It's okay.
Page 19, page 19 at the top. Roman number 4.
Okay.
Or should I say technical way, IV?
The special events department does not have control. Okay. Oh, it's just letting them know that they still don't have, well, I'm not sure if maybe they don't.
They still don't. They still use the fans and they still use the heaters. Which that really needs to be rectified, because the police department is nice and cool. I mean, the substation is nice and cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now we on 20, 21, 22, and this is.
Now the fee schedule, we were going to wait until I thought Ms. Habita was going to do some. I'm thinking that maybe she said she didn't really have any input for that right now, because she hasn't done any, hasn't worked with trying to find out. But I'm thinking that once we get the Gold Room coordinator on, that we could give that assignment to her to find out, to bring, probably do, and it probably would take some time to do a study or something to find out, how much money we are bringing in repasses, what we are bringing in birthday parties, just exactly what it is we're bringing in, to get an idea how to restructure the fees.
Okay. In the meantime, we can keep the rates the same until we get that information, but we can still pass some rules.
Right.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? I think Council Vice President Ferguson.
Yeah, I was wondering, with the telephone number, remember that we had to list the telephone number for the past event coordinator. Have you ever thought about assigning a number strictly to the gold room? I mean, they can use the 2100 in addition, but just have a separate line for the gold room.
Well, I think that's what that telephone number was but it was a cell phone that she carried around with her so that she would be able, to answer the phone whenever a client would call.
I mean, yeah, I understand that. I mean, well, I guess that number can be too, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, for instance, if I wanted to call the treasurer, I would call 2106. Or there's a number assigned to our clerk. There's a number assigned to the police department. I was wondering, have they ever thought about assigning a number to the gold room?
I don't think they have a phone back there in that little room.
But they do.
They do?
Yes, they do.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I never seen it.
It's sitting on the desk,
Oh, okay.
unless somebody unplugged it.
Yeah, I think it was unplugged when I saw it. Okay.
Yeah, just a thought. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why, Vice President Ferguson, when you said that, I thought about New Edition, Mr. Telephone Man. Something wrong with my life.
Yeah, you're getting sleepy now, man.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Any other comments before we close out? I think I've captured a lot. What I haven't captured, hopefully Council Clerk has been able to catch what I missed. I will say, can I say? Yeah.
Okay, so my question is this. So we've went over the rules for the gold room. As far as the Woodmore Community Center, we're gonna, have we decided when we're gonna have a meeting with the person that the city manager has selected for the gold room coordinator?
So yeah, oh, thank you for bringing that up. So it was my understanding that and I have the emails that even if everybody didn't agree, the majority of council, 4 of 7 people, relinquished that duty to Ms. Habita, and she went forward with the interview and hired so, but that was the process by which the council said, hey, we're relinquishing this to the city manager. Now, is there something different that the council wants to do?
That was for the last one that didn't come on board.
No, the last one we
No, she
did.
didn't come on board. She didn't come on board. They offered her a job and she never came on. She got something else before she even started.
Are we talking about the one that we interviewed in the council chambers?
Yep. She never came on board.
No, this was afterwards.
What's that?
Mm-mm.
This was
That
afterwards.
one,
Council President, it definitely was after. It's captured in the meeting minutes.
Yeah. So, and that's why she moved ahead, because we gave her the permission to go ahead and do that.
well, yeah, I don't agree with that. I know I ain't agree with that because the code says what the code says.
Yeah, and so I'm not disputing that you don't agree with it, but it was 4 of 7 council members, and that's the direction that we took, and that's why she did what she did. So, now, and I'll say that
You can't violate the law no matter what you want to do. The code says you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. The code says the council
Now,
appoints.
just go ahead and have an interview with her.
No, we don't need to have an interview with her. I mean, that would be.
I'm just trying to appease the, you know.
Yeah, you
I-
actually do.
Respectfully, I don't think, I mean, you have right to your opinion. So the way it was set,
One of them was going to land us in front of the office of the state prosecutor. I'm telling you, keep on violating these codes the way you're doing. The code is the code. It's the law. It's the ordinance. We took an oath to uphold all the ordinances in the city of Glenarden. You can't just arbitrarily violate the ones because 4 council members say so. That doesn't mean 4 council members are going to go before the office of the state prosecutor.
to
That's what I'm
approve, to approve, right? To approve the hiring of a Goldrum coordinator, we all agree and approve that we will trust the city manager's choice. That's the same thing.
That is not the same thing because again, you still haven't. So you're gonna bring someone on. You're gonna say hire this person, and you don't know anything about the person. We're gonna designate somebody to help her, but we don't know what the background is or anything.
Mr. Councilman Herring, I'll definitely open it up to the floor for, consideration.
I don't see how hard it is to do. Bring her in. And
They
just
did a
talk to her.
background check, didn't they? Did they do a background check?
Yes, so the difference is, and we can just open to the floor for, the council. Difference is, the council said, hey, yes, Habata, please move forward with the interview phase. Basically, we trust you to, hire who you need to hire. That's, for me, the approval. Mr. Herring has a different opinion and does not think that that's the approval. But I mean, we have that in writing, given the go-ahead.
But I'd like to hear the minutes, though. I would like to hear it because I say if she selects somebody, I still think we need to talk to the person. We weren't going to go through the whole interview process of interviewing 3 and 4 candidates. She selected somebody, we still need to talk to that person. So maybe we need to go to the minutes and see what was actually said.
Hey, does anybody else want to interview this individual? If not, Ms. Herring, you certainly have the right to, if you want to speak with that individual, I mean, you can have at
I'm
it.
not speaking to no employee by myself. That's not going to happen.
If you would like, I will accompany you.
Yeah, I would like to speak to her.
Right, I mean, well, you don't have to meet with her individually. You can have a telephone conversation.
I don't want to do telephone interviews. That's it. That's initials.
I thought y'all do Zooms, man. Like, what we agree on last time when we was talking about interviewing people when we had that meeting, because y'all about to go back and forth, and I'm ready to sign off respectfully. What we agreed to last time? Like, what was because we keep talking about this over and over again.
Yeah. What? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilwoman Guillaume.
No. I was just going to answer Councilman Hairston's question. We had came up with this situation before, and at least the majority of the council had said that when it came down to hiring the Goldrum coordinator, that we would be fine with the city manager interviewing them, and that we didn't feel the need to interview them because we wouldn't be directly supervising them. So that's what was agreed upon last time.
All right.
Play the tape. But I don't remember that. Play the tape.
All right. So,
Video footage.
is there any other comments before we adjourn?
Councilman Herring, would you like for me to go back to the recording and tell you what
Please
was
do.
on there?
Please do.
Can
Okay.
you send it to them?
I don't know if I can send it. I don't know about that, but I can certainly tell them
Okay.
what time lapsed during that recording that it was picked up.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all, folks. The time is 9:46. This meeting is now adjourned. See you guys next Thursday, I believe.
Huh?
Yeah, for the budget work session.
Yeah, man, I'll be at that.
Well,
For the 29th?
See
Yeah,
you
the
guys.
29th, that was for the budget work, to look at the budget one last time before we went, so everybody we wouldn't have the issues like we're having now about, somebody said this and somebody said that.
Yeah, yeah, Councilman Herring, that's when you and I both said that we would be traveling, because you'd be, I think you said you'd be traveling back from DC, and I was like, so what, I'm probably gonna be on the metro as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because we said it looks like we might just do the budget like July 6th or something like that. So we wanted to actually have time to review the budget and the, not the presentation, but the information that was given to us for the salaries, stuff like
Yep.
Right.
And
Is that
the
on
guy-
the, that's on the 29th?
That's on the
29th?
29th.
At
Mhm.
7:30.
At 7:30.
Dang, why we doing it so late?
Because
you
you
and
Y'all said y'all
traveling.
weren't
Traveling. You and-
So this is when we
I could have
discussed.
did Zoom, y'all could have cut me off like I normally do.
Oh, Lord.
Councilman Herring, you actually said that you were going to be on the phone on the metro for the meeting.
I probably would be on the phone on the metro that day.
Yeah. Councilman Herring, get some sleep. Get some sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep. I'm tired.
All right, you guys have a
He's
good
on the
night.
road. Okay, good night, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, have a good night.